Let's go. Let's go. Saturday night. Let's go. I might just hold the microphone the entire time because I'm so fired up about tonight's live stream. Are you kidding me? What is going on? I know some of you are like in a mood right now because LSU lost in baseball earlier today, but this is a football channel, okay? No baseball sourness in here. Now, look, this is how I feel about every live stream. It's going to be a free-flowing conversation about anything LSU football related. And I got to shout out Johnny. He's already hit us up with the Venmo. Now, here's the thing. I want the super chats. I want the cash apps. I want the Venmos to be flowing tonight because we have still yet to figure out our lawn service here. I know a lot of you have been asking about our lawn outside, which is kind of weird because of the TJ Finley emergency live stream. That was our last live stream. But we'll get to all of that tonight. But what I want to start tonight's live stream with is this idea that I have any type of favoritism towards any quarterback. I cannot say this enough. I'm still blown away by comments that say I am pro TJ Finley. I'm anti TJ Finley. I've also been told I'm pro Max Johnson and anti Max Johnson, which is crazy because I've had Max Johnson as QB1 for weeks now, for months now. And it's still crazy to me that people think I had some kind of bias towards TJ Finley. I obviously want whoever is the best quarterback to succeed, but keep this in mind, okay? What makes sports great is that it is the ultimate meritocracy, okay? The best player is going to play, all right? And look, I try my best to be as fair as I possibly can with every single player that wears the purple and gold. And I also say this because, I look at a lot of LSU players. There's so many of them that I did not know before they ever got to LSU. I'm not close friends. I'm not family members or anything like that. So I try my best to look at every single player objectively. And I think the way I feel about the LSU quarterback battle, and those that have watched my videos know I feel this way, even if TJ Finley was, quick read, first read, second read, third read, master of the offense, Tom Brady level cerebral, all those different things, even if he was that level, the biggest issue right now with LSU football is two things. The first is we don't know who our best set of wide receivers are. And the second thing is we don't know if we're going to have enough to hold up in pass protection. Now, what's funny is tomorrow's live stream film study with Eli Ricks, we're going to be, diving deep into what Eli Ricks can actually accomplish next season. And what he actually did last season was nothing short of incredible. And tomorrow on our live stream with our Eli Ricks film study, I'm going to show you what makes him special, like really, really, really special. And what's interesting is, of course, his biggest play of the year is that pick six against Florida, where he was lined up in the slot. Now, all day, Haley went out of town today. And I don't know, Johnny, if you're still in here. Johnny hit us up with the Venmo. Johnny's favorite restaurant is Rotolo's. And Haley went to go get me some Rotolo's today. I love this woman. Now, she actually went with her nieces to go to Monroe. She went to Monroe today. And she is going through Ruston to bring me some Rotolo's tonight. I'm super pumped up about it. So Rotolo's, please sponsor this chat. But I was talking to Haley about this earlier. And one thing that she said to me, she said, whenever I'm driving with my nieces, I always make sure I drive safely, right? You're always very conservative whenever there's other people around, okay? Because it's just how it is. When you're driving with other people in the car, you're going to focus in on the road a little bit more, right? Well, this is the thing, I was going through some film earlier today, and I was thinking, I was like, goodness gracious, what do we need to do with our secondary? Because I was like, okay, what is our best lineup? And I was like, okay, our best lineup is the safety who keeps our defense the safest. And what I mean by that is I was able to get my hands on some all 22. Okay. Oh, we got some Frito chili pie. What's going on? Uh, I was able to get my hands on some all 22 for the LSU versus Florida game. And for those that don't know, all 22 means the actual coaches tape. So the broadcast tape, and Trey, I know you ask me a lot of questions about film and technology and all those things. What's up, Danny? Huh? Okay, Danny wants to talk recruiting. He super chats. We're going to go straight to it. And for those that want me to finish my thought on safety play, feel free to super chat. I'll go back to it. But Danny wants to start recruiting talk. So we'll go straight to it. Danny, I've been reading a lot of recruiting things. LSU is favored for a lot of 5-star prospects and high 4-star prospects. Is there a chance LSU pulls the number 1 recruiting class? If there is ever a year for LSU to pull the number 1 recruiting class, it's this one. And there's a lot of reasons why. Okay, number 1, and this is the most important thing. There is no data that correlates that says you need to have the absolute number 1 recruiting class, okay? However, if you recruit in the top 5 nationally, you are going to be in the running for a national championship. So, look, every national champion over the past decade has been at the very least a top 10 aggregate recruiter. So, in other words, a 4-year rolling average. They've had a average top 10 recruiting class over the 4-year period. And what's funny is LSU has a top 5 recruiting class every year under Ed Orgeron. That's going to be the case for 2022. And more than likely, that is going to be the case for 2023 because Louisiana is going to be absolutely loaded in 2023. It could arguably be more talented in 2023 than what it is in 2022. So, Danny, to your question, the most important thing is LSU absolutely could have the number 1 ranked recruiting class because there's 3 5-stars in the state of Louisiana, and all 3 of them have already committed. Okay. More than likely, a kid is not going to decommit from Louisiana and then go to another school. It historically just hasn't happened all that much. We've seen a lot of LSU kids commit and then go somewhere else. We've already had 1 Louisiana kid in 2022 decommit, but it was Sean Washington at the one position where LSU does not need any help, which, of course, is defensive tackle. They are very young there. So, do you really need Sean Washington in this class? Not as big of a need because they just got Tyji Hill just a few months ago. So, Danny, yes, this could be the number 1 national class because LSU already has their 3 5-stars committed. And they have been ahead of the curve in getting an out-of-state 5-star. And I understand the out-of-state 5-star recruits is what excites us the most, right? The Eric Gilberts, the Eli Ricks, guys that, that are actually nationally recruited. And it isn't normal for outside of Louisiana 5-stars to come to LSU, but every now and then we get one. We had Jacoby Stevens, and he was a big star. We had Marcel Brooks. He helped us in 2019, but then went to TCU. So, look, you look at the out-of-state 5-stars, the most likely name to keep an eye out for is Shamar Stewart. If LSU gets Shamar Stewart and keeps the other 5-stars in this class committed, they will be guaranteed a top 5 national slot. Now, remember this. Bama is a little bit more of a methodical recruiter. They don't get out in front of things. They work their way, and you saw what they did last year. They got the Brockermeyers, they got the Lathams, and then they got Colt and JoJo from us, which, you know how I feel about JoJo Earl, but Bama works slowly. So obviously they're going to be the favorite to get the number 1 recruiting class. Ohio State just had a decommitment from Indiana, and he ended up going to Indiana. Ohio State's going to be in the top 5. They're probably going to keep Quinn Ewers. And then you look at Georgia, they're going to be there as well. So obviously the big contenders for that number 1 slot, I think it comes down to 4 teams there: Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, and LSU. If there was a year for LSU to get that number 1 slot, it is this one. If they get Shamar Stewart, they'll be no worse than 3rd, especially if they keep the other 5 stars. Now, of course, Shaz Preston, his recruitment's going to be very interesting. And then, of course, after that, Kendrick Law is a guy that's, every day I look at 247. It's Kendrick Law to LSU, positivity. And then to me, I still stand by this. The biggest 2022 non-committed prospect to this entire, puzzle is Emery Jones. I have to go with Emery Jones right now, simply because, there's a thing called position of need, and offensive line is a huge position of need. As of right now, there's no 2023 guys that have really stood out on the offensive line just yet. I know, Mo Funky, you and I have discussed a few offensive linemen that could move up the ranks, but we'll see. 2022 is a little bit of an outlier because there's some really good offensive linemen in the state. And, you already got Will Campbell locked up. You already got Bo Bordelon locked up. What about Cam East? He's a very interesting prospect, 6'7", very slender guy out of New Orleans. I know LSU wants to see a little bit more, but, you would tend to think LSU wants to get as many offensive linemen in this class. So you look at some of the other offensive linemen in this class. Julian Armella is a very interesting name. That's probably the most likely 4-star out-of-state offensive tackle LSU will pick up. Obviously, everybody's going to want Zach Rice. He's the crown jewel offensive tackle out of this class. Those are the guys that Alabama normally gets. The likelihood of you getting a 5-star out-of-state number 1 ranked offensive tackle at LSU is unlikely. You're more than likely going to get Denver Harris. You're more than likely going to get any of these other 5 stars over a 5-star offensive line. And that comes down, Danny, to branding. Branding. What is your brand? Okay. If I all of a sudden started talking about Cabbage Patch Kids, you guys would be, what? Really? It's kind of like the same thing with 5-star offensive linemen. Okay. LSU is known for what? Defensive backs, wide receivers. That's been our brand. It's been our brand for decades. Whether or not you realize it, we've done better at producing those 2 positions than anyone in the sport over the past 2 decades. Definitely since 2010 or even 2000. So those 2 positions are our big brand. And then, after that, it's running back and linebacker. And then after that, it's defensive line. And then after that, way down the rung, it's quarterbacks, which has obviously changed, offensive line, and tight end. Offensive line and tight end, we've just never, that's not our national brand. Now, that doesn't mean we haven't had good offensive linemen and tight end. We've had Foster Moreau, we've had Andrew Whitworth and the Wilkersons and Lyle Collins. We've had great offensive linemen. It's just not where the 5 stars want to go. It's not, Elias Ricks wanted to come be a part of DBU. He knew that could help his brand because, he's a big time defensive lineman. So where are the offensive line brands? Well, Alabama's one. Obviously, Wisconsin, that's, their brand. So that's going to be key. Can LSU get to the point where you get some Zach Rices and Julian Armellas and guys from, out of state? It's unacceptable that at Louisiana State University, Danny, that we've gotten 2 total 4-star offensive linemen in the last 2 recruiting classes. That's got to get better. That's got to get better. So, Danny, thank you for the big super chat right there. So hopefully I answered your question. We say hi to Rai in Canada. Rai, this is going to be delivered to you this week. Rai was the winner of our Thaddeus Moss card. Look at it, Rai. This is actually pretty gem, too. It's pretty dead. Is it dead center? You might want to get this one graded, Rai. I'm just kidding. Just keep it in this right here. This is going to be coming to you this week. Mailing this to Canada. What's up, Josh? Welcome. I appreciate that. And Johnny, I'm sending this to you. This is what I'm going to send to you, Johnny. I have these weird LSU cards. Now, here's the thing. These cards really aren't that great. They're not worth a whole lot, but they are kind of fun to open and dig through. So, Johnny, you won that. What's up, Carvis? Wants to talk Myles Brennan. You know, I'm down. Let me fix this right quick. I don't want Hay to get mad at me. What's up, G. Lou? I don't think I'm going to give out any cards tonight. I know we do that like every time we get a few thousand subs. But we'll see, G. Lou. I'll do this. If we get over $200 in super chats tonight, we will give out some other cards. I think I have another pack of these I could give out. You know, thank Johnny, man. I'm looking forward to connecting with you, man. That's great. Yeah, Danny, it'd be nice to get some of those guys. Julian Armella, though, is a very interesting name. Someone else that would be interesting is Riley Quick out of Alabama, Hewitt Trustville. That's where Armani Goodwin played his high school ball. Riley Quick would be a good fit for what we're doing. Not a year one guy, though. He might not even be a year two guy. What's up, Cyrus? Good to hear from you, man. Yeah, Max. You know, here's the thing. And I understand I get a lot of comments about Austin Deculus. And we'll finish the I'll finish the thoughts on the safety because I was making a point about Haley driving safely and safeties in the defense, and I was going to connect the two. But I'll talk about Austin Deculus just for a little bit. You know what's interesting? I don't think Austin Deculus is a bad football player. I don't. He was a top 50 offensive tackle for a reason. And, you know, he had his moments in 2019 where he had some really good games. Now, here's a few things that concern me about Austin Deculus. Jonathan wants to talk some Austin Thomas. Okay, we'll get to that a little bit later. Okay, let's go to Rai. All right, Rai super chatted and he didn't attach a question, so we'll go straight here. We'll get to Austin Deculus in a second. Everyone say hi to Carvis. He's been high on this about Austin Deculus potentially playing offensive guard. So let's go to Rai here. If TJ does transfer, do we get the scholarship back for this year? So yes. Now, this needs some explaining and some clarity. Now, this is the thing that I have yet to have a rational explanation for. Alabama got another transfer today, another 5-star transfer, Henry. I don't know how to say his last name, Toto or whatever. And this gives Alabama 29 guys for this 21 slot, class of 2021, 28 or 29 guys, which of course is over the 25 scholarship limit. I've tried my best to get a clear explanation on this. I don't know how they're able to do it, but it's Nick Saban. But look, this is how scholarships work. Every season, you used to be able to sign as many guys as you want, but this changed a few years ago where you can only get 25 scholarship players every cycle. Now, here's the thing. If you don't sign the full 25, you can roll those scholarships over for the next recruiting class, okay? So Danny says Alabama lost 6 to the transfer portal. So does that mean TJ Finley's slot opens up for this 2021 class? I don't know. I guess I'm just totally confused on these rules. But the way I understand it is if TJ Finley decides to transfer, it does open up a slot on the roster, but it doesn't open up a slot for that recruiting class. And this still is a 2021 recruiting class. So based on my understanding, I could be completely wrong on this whole thing. LSU only has one slot left that they could sign someone, but maybe I have been wrong on this the entire time because I had it explained to me. You can only sign 25. Thank you, Kedrick. I appreciate that, my friend. Drop it a super chat. Thank you so much. And Kedrick, whatever you want to talk about, please type it in the comment section or you can send it on here, I think. So, Kedrick, I really do appreciate the love, man. And don't forget, get your PHL shirt. We just started a new campaign. So, right. I guess it doesn't open. Because I think we should go after Brennan Cunningham, the left tackle for Mississippi State in the portal if he wasn't taken. Okay. So we did a video on Brandon Cunningham last week where we talked about TJ Moore, and I think you watched it. So the offensive lineman that I like the most in the portal is TJ Moore. Okay. He has a small connection to LSU. One of his best friends is Thaddeus Moss, and they went to the same high school. So TJ Moore's played in the SEC. He's a little bit more mature and experienced. I would prefer him over Brandon Cunningham, who didn't really play that much at Mississippi State. Now, why did he decide to transfer from Mississippi State? I don't know. I think that locker room is cancerous right now. I really do. I think what happened at the end of the bowl game and once again, LSU is not a place to sit on our moral high ground. Okay. Trust me, we're in a lot of trouble. But, everyone seems to like each other in the locker room, and people seem to like Ed Orgeron. The Mike Leach situation is kind of weird because Mississippi State had a lot of players, drop out of last season, and the fight. It wasn't so much the fight, okay, at the end of the Armed Forces Bowl. What really blew me away, and I have a lot of friends that are, with the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And Matt Wyatt is probably my favorite content creator on YouTube, and he's a friend of mine. So, I say this, from a place of honesty. What really bothered me about the Armed Forces Bowl brawl is the activity in the locker room afterwards, where the players were celebrating, beating, and kicking guys in the fight. So it's not it's one thing to get heated up in the moment, but then it's an hour after the game, you're still celebrating burning down your national brand. So, is that why Cunningham transferred? I don't know. So the big thing you should take away from Cunningham being in the portal, because I don't really know if he could play or not, and I also know he played some defensive line last season. This is the most important thing you have to do now as a coach. And someone asked me about Austin Thomas a minute ago. This is, and Kendrick, I'm going to get to your super chat in just a second. You've got to have a great winning locker room culture now. And what I mean by that is it's one thing if a player decides to transfer because he's not happy about his situation or he's not getting playing time, like this TJ Finley situation. But the one thing you don't want to happen is players not liking to be around you at all. And I'm telling you, if I played for Mississippi State, or let's put it this way, if I was an LSU player and my teammates did what they did and then cheered about it in the locker room, and to this point, there have been no suspensions, nobody held accountable for what happened there. If I was a player, I would think about leaving a locker room such as that. So this is a thing. LSU has their own issues to deal with. If you don't like a situation now as a player, you can bolt and you can go right now. You don't have to wait. You can go and you're immediately eligible to just go somewhere else. So now having a good culture, and I know that word is used all the time. It is so important to have your P's and Q's tied up, or I know I didn't use that phrase right. You got to have everything buttoned up. You really do. And look, I'm certain there's some LSU players that are currently playing for the team that doesn't like how LSU has handled some very nefarious actions over the past decade. From this point forward, players can legit leave at any second. And if they do leave, you better hope it's for more playing time. That is the best reason for a player to leave. But if it's for something else because they don't like being around other players or they don't like being around the coaches or anything, you got to make sure everyone is enjoying the atmosphere you're in. So let's see. Let's go to Kedrick. his super chat. So, Ron, to answer your question, I just don't know enough about Brandon Cunningham as a player, but I wanted to make that point because you've really got to keep things healthy in the locker room. You really do. And that's the thing. As a head coach of your college football program, it used to be just taken for granted that you're going to have a guy for 3 years. Now it's not like that anymore. Now roster management is now more so relationship management. The players that even do play, they have to like being around you. So it becomes even more complex. And that's what concerns me about LSU this next season, because one thing that I really struggled with, and this was, me watching tape and watching how games were managed, is that, yes, LSU was bad mainly because we didn't have the same players we did in 2019. It's all about the players, right? Well, we made a lot of coaching mistakes, both macro and micro, both schematically and game management wise. A ton. So many that if I were to list now, such as not changing up coverages, bringing a safety into the box to defend a running game while we're getting destroyed in the air. Or here's another one, calling a defensive timeout in the second half of a close game. Those are things we also got to fix. We also got to fix the little things. We made so many mistakes as far as doing the little championship things that you need to do to win, the whole thing. That was a big reason why Florida lost against Texas A&M and to us. They were horrible at doing these little things right, and they weren't a button-up team. So, we got to fix those issues as well, on top of these changing things that are happening now in college athletics. And you look at our rivals, most notably Alabama, as much as we hate them, they're on top of everything. We're doing a good job in a lot of different aspects of how college football is changing. But here's the thing. You got to change and adapt and do all those things while at the same time still fielding an elite football team. And like you bring up, Rai, getting better offensive linemen and developing our guys. And we'll see how that goes. Tom Cat, dude, I love Tom Cat. I'm not going to lie. I really do love this guy. Man, you gave me the best message for Bug, and I appreciate you, Tom Cat. Everyone welcome Tom Cat, the first time joining the live chat. And he works out. I know there's a lot of you that hit the gym. So Tomcat, Carvis, I know a lot of you are very physically active. I know I only listed 2. I did a little arm workout. I got one of these gorilla bows. I want to show you this, and we're gonna get to Kedrick's super chat in just a second. I got this thing, and it's weird. Have y'all seen these on YouTube? My mom got it for me for Christmas. Y'all know, it's these things, and I got the resistance bands over there, and they just tong in there. Is that the right word? It's like these little bands, and they tong in here, and I didn't do an exercise. You went to the LSU softball game, Chris Ghost? So I wasn't doing an exercise right. Dude, one of these popped me in the back so freaking hard. I screamed. Didn't we just win the national title in the nation a few years ago? What are you guys talking about? Yeah, that was a few years ago, man. Cyrus, I got some analysis for you. And I know you come here for some deep, LSU analysis. But Joe Burrow's not walking through that door, baby. We got to fix a lot of things. And Cyrus, I understand. I didn't know LSU won the title 2 years ago. I didn't know that. Now, I get your point, Cyrus. Trust me, I'm not saying the sky is falling. I'm not. I'm just, being honest. I'm being honest. Trey, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. I'm going to answer. Dylan says Caden Moreau is better than Cam East. Interesting. I think Mo Funky agrees with you on that, Dylan. Wait, Brian and Tomcat are bros? We got some, you guys, round of applause for a bromance right here. There's nothing like connecting with two bros that you grew up with on a random channel on the internet. That is so great. Brian and Tomcat. I'm guessing y'all are both from Lafayette. If you're from the 337, let me know right now. If you're from the 337, let me know. Let me know. Matty Dukes. Cyrus says, okay, I'll accept your apology later this year. I think we're fielding the best coaching and supporting staff in college. I hope you're right, Cyrus. I hope you're right. I'll tell you this. Alabama, I don't want to put the cart before the horse here. I'm not as high on Bryce Young as other people are, especially with the Bill O'Brien offense. I'd feel a little bit more comfortable if this was Sark still calling the offense. Let's see. Trey, I promise I'll go to your super chat. I'm a little bit behind on this because I wanted to show you. I wanted to show Tomcat and Brian, the 337 bros, my gym game. Go up here. Let me say hi to a few people here. Rai, G. Lou in the chat for the first time. Danny, I appreciate your super chat from earlier. Okay. Ultra says Bama is cheating, plain and simple. So as I find Kedrick's question here, I have it right here. Who in here thinks Bama actually is cheating? Hey, could you tell us, when do you think Coach O is going to pick the QB? Is it sooner? Okay. So this is a good question. And Trey, I promise I will get to you in just a second. Because Trey, you and I, we're anthropology bros. 225. There we go. 337. I like it. I need to come do some comedy in Lafayette. I got a buddy that does some really good shows. He actually gets some really big names in Lafayette. I've been out of the comedy game for a little bit, though. Yeah, Matt. You know, Bryce Young just doesn't. Here's the thing. The way I understand it is that he doesn't have a cannon. I know he and DJ Uiagalelei were like neck and neck. One went to Don Bosco, and the other, of course, went to Mater Dei. G. Lou in Montana, what's up? Anthro bros. What's up, Vincent? Here's the thing. Bama doesn't cheat. Well, we all cheat. Let's see. No, Cyrus. No, I believe in the staff. I'm just saying that there's my point is there is a lot that needs to get done, and it's not just LSU's coaching staff. I was just generally pointing out all the things that are changing now. Let me see. I'm making sure I didn't skip anything. What's up, Kari? So let's go to Kedrick's question here. Hey, could you tell us, when do you think Coach O is going to pick the QB? The sooner, the better. Okay. What's up, King Ulysses? You guys, King Ulysses just moved to a new crib in Denver. So everyone, King Ulysses, you know, we got a lot of North Louisiana listeners in here. My girlfriend, actually, Ulysses, was in Monroe today doing some shopping. And she's currently in Ruston right now. Hey, Kane, you shut up. No, I'm just kidding. Kane and I have been talking a lot lately. So here's the thing. How many of you, let's answer Kedrick's question together. Cyrus has already said his piece here. Do you guys think it is better to pick a quarterback now or wait until a few weeks before UCLA? How many of you want to wait? Oh, Mr. G in West Monroe, man. That's great. We'll link up sometime. I know I'm supposed to have a dinner with JJ coming up in Shreveport. We haven't scheduled it yet, but yeah, I want to meet some of you guys. So let's answer. I want your honest opinion on this. And Kedrick, let me know. Kedrick, let me know if you're still there, my man. I don't want you to get disappointed because I appreciate the Cash App. I really do. There you go. So here's Kedrick's response. Okay. So here's the thing. Okay. This is how it works. When you come in and you super chat and ask a question, it's one thing. But I love super chatters that give me a good, juicy hot take. And Roger, I know you're on deck. Trey, you're on deck with your super chat. And Roger will go to you in the hole in just a second. So Trey is currently Derek Jeter in the 2-hole. Rogers is A-Rod in the 3-hole. But now we're batting leadoff here. Chuck Knobloch with this question. Okay. Now, Kedrick says, I want Ed Orgeron to pick now since we know who the best QB is. Okay? Now, before any of you give your opinion over who you think the best QB is, because Carvis is dead set on Myles Brennan, I want Kedrick, with your wonderful Cash App donation, to let me know who is the best quarterback. Let me know right now, Kedrick. Just let me know. I want you to say it. Because if you say, I know who the better quarterback is, you've got to give us some confidence, okay? Because we have a worldwide audience of 81 people right here watching on a Saturday night, Kedrick. Okay? Oh, Roger. I'm sorry about that. Roger drops a huge super chat, and then I give him a Yankees reference, and he goes full Red Sox on me. Okay, Roger, you are Ted Williams waiting in the 3-hole. Okay, how about that? I always loved Ted Williams whenever he would describe how to be a best hitter. And this gave me the most calming influence. He said whenever he would go up to bat, I might be mistaken, Ted Williams would say, I would think of a clear blue lake when I went up to bat. And I was like, that is just so daggum smooth, Ted. I just got chills even thinking about Ted Williams going up to bat. Batted .423. That dude was a monster, man. But the analytic nerds would tell you Ted Williams didn't swing for the fences every time. They would, the analytics community would tar and feather Tony Gwynn now, hitting for average. That's why baseball sucks. They got all these no-hitters now. I don't understand why we celebrate a no-hitter in baseball or a perfect game. Yeah, we go to a game. Oh, it was perfect. It was perfect that nobody hit the ball. I want to see home runs. Okay, I'm done with the baseball rant. Roger, it was you that started me on this. So, Kedrick, you say Max Johnson is clearly the better quarterback. And my response to that is not true, okay? Now, I do have Max Johnson listed as my starter, okay? I do. But the main reason I have him listed as my starter is because we are not special on the offensive line, and we could be special at running back, but we're not right now, okay? And what a running quarterback does is it could mask up the holes on your offensive line, and it could provide some extra cushion in the running game, okay? Go look at the Florida game, for instance. Go look at the effectiveness TDP had in the first half just on zone reads. And all Max Johnson would do is open up lanes in the running game because he could hold that defensive end, which in turn helps out your offensive line because when you run zone read, you don't have to block the defensive end because you're reading the defensive end. So it makes it a little bit easier for your offensive line if you want to have zone read game. Okay? Now, I, however, can't say Max Johnson is clearly the better quarterback than Myles Brennan. Okay. Now, look, and Trey and Roger, I promise I'm going to get to your super chat, but Max Johnson is a great quarterback. And I've gotten into it with some commenters this week because I don't say I don't say Max Johnson is the absolute best quarterback of all time. And, this is what's crazy. Whenever I analyze quarterbacks, my words get taken, in all different directions, but I'm going to give you my honest evaluation of Max Johnson. So last night I rewatched the entire Ole Miss game, and I still stand by what I say. Max Johnson missed some throws in that Ole Miss game. It wasn't his best game. Now the weather did change, and he was throwing a wet ball in the second half, but it just wasn't as good as his Florida performance. Now, look, the Florida performance was by far the best quarterback performance when you consider all the different factors Max Johnson was dealing with in that game. But just because that was the best performance doesn't mean you are clearly better. And Kedrick, I appreciate your generous cash app, but I cannot agree with that. And there's a lot of reasons why. Was Max Johnson really good at quarterback in that game? Absolutely. However, we average less yards per play against those defenses than what they normally gave up on the season. So, yes, we did have a lot of success offensively against Ole Miss, but we average less yards per play against Ole Miss than what they gave up during the season. Now, full disclosure, the receivers did drop a lot of passes, and there were some nefarious, horrible drops against Ole Miss, most notably by Trey Palmer and John Trey Kirkland. With that said, I even though I have Max Johnson right now as QB1, I totally understand why he would start Myles Brennan. And Carvis and a few of you have made this point as well. We should start Myles Brennan because if we don't start Myles, he's going to immediately hit the transfer portal, and then we're down to 2 quarterbacks. I don't like that logic. Start whoever you think is the best quarterback right now. Life is too short to just worry about people's feelings in the transfer portal, okay? If Jake Peetz feels Max Johnson is the best quarterback, he shouldn't have to, split the difference and start the other guy just so he can have Max Johnson as a backup. Even though I hate true freshman backup quarterbacks and I hate playing true freshmen as quarterbacks, start the best guy if you're Jake Peetz and Ed Orgeron. So I understand. I've gone back and forth on Max and Myles. The offenses would be totally different between the two. Max gives you a little bit more as a runner. Myles definitely has a more cannon of an arm. You can run all verticals, which was LSU's most productive play last season. That was a play that Max Johnson is just not as effective at doing because he doesn't have the same arm velocity as Max Johnson or Myles Brennan. So, yeah, the bottom line is that it is unclear. And what scares me about that is we don't have a second receiver. We don't know who our best set of receivers are. And if you start either or, it's 2 completely different offenses. One's a right-handed quarterback. The other's a left-handed quarterback. The ball spins differently when they go out of their hands. But that's a smaller thing compared to one being a pure pocket quarterback and the other one having some mobility, but not elite mobility. So it's a tough thing to really break down. So, yeah, play the best quarterback. Now, let me see. This is Ulysses. I'm split. Max is a bit more slippery with the weaker arm, but Myles was putting up some stats with an awful OL play and no run game at all. Plus, Myles can't get away from, yes. Let's see. I'm going to read a few more of yours, and then we'll move on. Yeah, that's right. Ted Williams did fly fighter planes in World War II. I forgot about that. I mean, that generation, I know that's like cliche, but goodness. I mean, it's just unreal. Our sports stars, that were stars, during wars. It really is wild. Cyrus says, Brennan's the starter. Watch the film from last year. Interesting. Let's see. Yeah, I'll rewatch too many LSU games. Zachary, I actually agree with that. He said Garrett Nussmeier has the highest ceiling in the QB room, but y'all ain't ready for that convo. Actually, I agree with that. Nuss had the best throw of the first and second half of the spring game. King said, I wanted TJ to start. Ooh. I like TJ, but come on. We got to be real about this. Look, TJ, nice guy, has a cannon of an arm, needs a lot of work. The turnovers, he's far more turnover prone than the other quarterbacks. And there's other aspects of his game. We did a whole deep dive on it on Thursday, where I broke down the good and the bad of TJ Finley. There's more to it than just the turnover issues, but the bottom line, guys, is especially with that Orgeron, he is a turnover. That's the number one thing. And it holds such heavy weight with Orgeron. When Max Johnson doesn't turn the football over and you do, you're just never going to play. And it was the same thing in the spring game. Yeah, Mo Funky, never. But yeah, the Ole Miss defense was the worst defense we faced. Missouri's defense with Ryan Walters was better, and Mississippi State's defense was better than Ole Miss. So Kedrick says, I'm ready to move on. Let's get Max out there wherever he kinks. I can't help but laugh at that. Alan, okay, so Alan brings this up, and I think I know how this is going to go over with you guys. Alan says if Max gets 25% of the snaps, that gives opposing defenses more time to prepare for, and Max gets more experience. So who here thinks we should do quarterback by committee? The good old Jarrett Lee, Jordan Jefferson formula. Who thinks there should be quarterback by committee? We should just play both of them. Well, Matt, I would too. Alan, I think that's what you're saying. Quarterback by committee. Okay. So I've got to pay rent. So, I want to keep the quarterback chat going, but I have to get to these other super chats. And I appreciate Trey and Roger in particular for helping me, feed. Well, I was about to say feed Bug. Oh, rest in peace, my baby girl. I told myself I'd never cry on a live stream for my booger. I know you guys miss her too. I really do. I miss my baby girl. I miss my baby girl. I miss her so much. I appreciate you. We talked about that earlier, Brian. Me and Brian, I'm telling you, Brian, and Tomcat bromance is a real thing. And y'all just got to watch out. We're bros. Here's Trey. I'm usually positive, but I wanted to share something that drives me crazy when people talk about recruits. So-and-so comes from a good family. So Trey, I don't like that either. And the funny thing about it is that there's a lot of coded language that, it's kind of hard for me to discuss on this channel. And it was part of the discussion this week surrounding TJ Finley. There was a commenter who said, look, you could say TJ Finley has problems reading a defense. That's fine. But it really hurt my heart when someone commented, TJ Finley is unintelligent. Oh, he's unintelligent. Really? I thought we were past that. So, Trey, I'd really do appreciate a super chat such as that one. Because sometimes we could use coded language as a society, and we don't realize how bad that can be. Now, understand, it's hard for me to get offended by stuff because I've been a stand-up for 5 years now, okay? And you hear everything from people, right? But when, the intention is one thing. When I read a comment, TJ Finley was an unintelligent me monster, someone said this week. It broke my heart. Because you're saying an 19-year-old kid By the way, when you're 19, your brain doesn't stop developing until it's 25, okay? And you're trying to figure out, as a 3-star recruit, SEC level defenses behind a not so great offensive line. Not everybody's Trevor Lawrence. They're not going to have this thing figured out in day one. So Trey, I appreciate your super chat, and once again, it's still there. And Kane and I have discussed this privately as well. It's heartbreaking when you see stuff like that. But yeah, we hopefully we as a society can learn from that and move on. But it's one of those things. It still exists, and it used to be a thing. I think we're starting to catch on. Like, it's kind of like the white defensive end has a high motor. Yeah, that is by far my favorite. He's a coach's son, and he's got a high motor. The high motor is my favorite thing, man. And the funny thing about it is, sometimes they're not even accurate. But anyway, so I appreciate that. And let's go to Roger here. Roger, is Auburn not a huge dumpster fire? I was watching a couple of vids about him this week, and nobody's freaking out. Am I missing anything? So I'll talk about Auburn just for a little bit. What's up, Huntsville? What's up, Bucci? What's up, Bud? He's sneaky athletic. Okay, one more thing about this, and then that's the other side of the white thing as well. When people would say Joe Burrow is sneaky athletic, I guarantee you, Joe Burrow ran a 40. He would run a legit like 4.6. Joe Burrow can run. Okay. And this is another one. Okay. So the fastest guy on the team in this next recruiting class is probably Sage Ryan or Armani Goodwin. But what's going to make me go crazy? Because my favorite kid in this next class is Matthew Langlois. Okay. He checks all the boxes for me. Matthew Langlois is a 3-star kid from Louisiana. But I get chills thinking about this, okay? I am from New Roads, Louisiana, okay? My mother's side of my family still lives in New Roads, Louisiana. So it is a big freaking deal to me that someone from Point Coupee Parish, small town Louisiana, an hour away from Baton Rouge, is coming to LSU. And I already see it now. People are going to say Matthew Langlois is sneaky athletic. He's sneaky athletic. But he ran a 10.7 in the 100-meter dash, okay? 10.7 in the 100-meter. That is wild, okay? For anyone that wants to know, if you run sub-11 in the 100-meter dash, that means you are fast AF. So for reference, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, was like an 11.4 100-meter dash, which is still really fast. But Matthew Langlois is like elite fast. He's he'd probably be top 5, top 10 fastest guys on the team. But if he makes a play next year on special teams, Matthew Langlois, that kid is sneaky. He'll sneak up on you. Oh, he'll sneak up on. That is a favorite thing. He's that deceptive speed. So, yeah, no, Matthew Langlois is just an elite athlete. He is probably one of the fastest guys on the team right now, and that is pre-doing the Tommy Moffitt stuff. So it's crazy. Dylan's in Shreveport. That's great. Let's see. SPH, it's funny. Dylan is a little bit behind on the stream. Okay, so for those that don't know, you could be behind on the stream. You just got to move the little bottom thing up. I don't know why I could get caught up sometime. Huntsville is just joining us. He's our resident Bama listener. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, coach's son. It's so funny. It's so funny. But yeah, the unintelligent TJ thing really bothered me this week. We had some pretty wild comments today. But yeah. How much crystal do you think? I don't know. Put the playback up to 1.5 to catch up with the buffer. What's up, Brandon R? That deceptive speed. That's going to be great, man. But I'm not going to lie. So if I get excited about Matthew Langlois, I think about like my grandfather and everyone, from New Roads. And, I'd have to go look. I don't know. I never really paid attention to this until, I saw Langlois was committed to Kansas State and his name started popping up. And I was like, God, he's from New Roads, really? So, it's a big deal for me. I don't know if there's ever been an LSU player from New Roads. I'd have to think there was one or two, or from Point Coupee Parish. I don't know. Maybe you guys could tell me. I'm bad on my New Roads history, obviously. But yeah, so Matthew Langlois is probably, top 2 or 3 favorite guys on the team. Oh no, Zach, don't start again. Let's see. So hopefully, Trey, I answered your question. It did mean a lot coming from you, Trey, that you said that, because I a lot of, and here's the thing, when I'm doing analysis, I make sure I try my best to not use cliche. Now, here's the thing. There are some white guys that are sneaky athletic or any of those things, but even then it's still just cliche. Okay. And what does sneaky athletic even mean? Now, the more I think about it. So, but there are some white guys that are coach's son. Okay. Or whatever. It's just funny that stuff is like still now. It's just kind of like, come on. So I'll answer this question because we get an outsider's point of view here. FFYM says, hey, I'm a Bama fan, unbiased. If you comp us an LSU position by position, who do you give the edge to? So here's the thing, and this has always been my stance. And Roger, I'm going to answer your Auburn question in just a second, because we do have some Alabama fans in here now watching. I like viewers from other channels. During the season, we actually had a lot of Alabama fans watching, and that's how I met SPH. But you look at the position by position. I just don't know enough about Alabama right now because I'm so focused on LSU. I just don't know enough about Bama right now because they lost so much. It was a little bit easier because I knew Leatherwood and I knew all those guys. Offensive line, I would go ahead and say, Evan Neal is a monster. He'll probably be the first offensive tackle taken. I don't know who Bama's going to start at center next year now that Dickerson's gone, but I even though LSU returns more in their offensive line, I will give Bama the benefit of the doubt and give them the better offensive line room. At running back, McClellan and Robinson versus TDP and Emery, I'll give slight edge to Alabama. I think this is going to be a year, though, where both of these teams won't have a wholly what. Do you see that dude at running back? So like last year, or for the last couple of years, we had draft picks and running back. So we had, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Najee Harris, and then before that, it was, the Kenyon Drakes and so on and so on, Trent Richardson, whoever you want to mention. And then for LSU, it was Fournette, Hill, Geis, Darrell Williams. Darrell Williams actually was better versus Bama than Fournette, but we've had, a lot of, really good running backs there. I'm not high on Jace McClellan. I cheer for him because he is under 6 foot. He is, a smaller guy. He isn't some physical freak of nature like, Najee Harris or Derrick Henry or someone like that. But running backs, I'll give the slight edge to Bama. Now, wide receivers, Keishon Butte is the best wide receiver on either one of the teams. Mechie and Bolden, I'm not so sure if I think both of them are really good. I think Ajayi Hall has really, really high ceiling there. And I understand, LSU was trying to get Ajayi Hall. I can't complain about a receiver Hall. So there you go. Tight end, I can't give you Bama's tight end off the top of my. Oh yeah, Jahlil Billingsley. Yeah, he's way better than Cole Taylor. So I'll give Billingsley the benefit of the doubt there. So up to this point, we have the best wide receiver on either one of the teams. I would say Bama's wide receivers are deeper. I'd give the slight edge at running back. I give the edge on the offensive line, but those gaps aren't as big as they were the year before. Now, on the other side, we have a better defensive line. We have a better secondary. Linebacker is Bama will have who at linebacker? It'll be Harris and whoever else. It'll be Christian Harris out of Baton Rouge, which kind of sucks. So, yeah. Defensive line and defensive backs were better. Now, the big thing is quarterback. Who is Bryce Young going to be? So Bryce Young had a really good spring game. He played at a very competitive high school. He is a 5-star. He probably is the better playmaker as far as razzle-dazzle than any quarterback between Max or Myles. But I don't know if he's better than Myles or Max. But the thing is it doesn't necessarily come down to if he's better. We need a better offensive line, and it goes back to that. And if any of you want to be completely honest about this, the biggest gap between Bama and us, the biggest gap, and I'm in a group chat with friends of mine that I grew up in Arkansas, and they were discussing like all these. They were talking about Bama had 4 first-round wide receivers, and Bama has all these great running backs and all these great quarterbacks, and Bama's had all these great defensive players. But you know one thing that neutral observers never mention is Bama's offensive line is always top 2 or 3 in the SEC. And I simply cannot say that about our offensive line. I simply can't do it. That's the biggest difference. LSU's had a lot of great wide receivers. We're starting to, have an upward trajectory at quarterback. Our running backs have arguably been just as good as Bama's running backs, even though they have 2 Heismans. And we don't have any Heisman. We don't have any Heisman finalists there. But, the running back gap between us and them is not that wide. The defensive gap between us and them is not that wide. The biggest gap between them and us is right there in the trenches. And it shows every year on film. And you go back to the 2018 game when Alabama came into our house and beat us 29-0. Ed Orgeron, who knows way more about football than I will ever know, what did he say in the press conference after the game? We've got to get better offensive linemen. And to Carvis's point, their scheme and execution is better. So, and Carvis still believes Emery and TDP are the next Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. I hope so. So, there you go. Let's see. Someone's talking about sex life here. Oh, man, I can't speak on anyone else's sex life in here. Let me know if you're still in here, Roger. I know you are. So Roger wanted to talk Auburn. Okay. So who's the fastest guy on our team coming in this year? It's either Goodwin, Langlois, or probably Sage. It's probably down to those 3 guys. Or Chris Hilton. Chris Hilton has really elite speed too. So it's probably one of those 4 guys. The best thing would probably is to go look at their 100-meter times. And yeah, I would get my best guess would be Goodwin. It would be Goodwin, Hilton, or Langlois. It's probably one of those 3 guys. But LSU's got a lot of speed coming in. That should excite you. I mean, they got some fast dudes coming in. On the whole team, it might be those 3 guys. Honestly. Maybe Kayshawn? I don't know. Ricks or Stingley, they're both really fast. I don't know if there's it's interesting. Palmer's up there too, for sure. So, to Roger super chat. Okay, Roger, let me know if you're still here. He wanted me to talk about Auburn because that's going to be a very interesting matchup here. So let's talk about the SEC. So we're just talking about Alabama. All right. So here's the thing you got to worry about. And this is the thing that kind of sucks about this whole ordeal. Okay, so you hear Ed Orgeron talk about Roger says, I stay here. There we go. Here's the thing. You look at the overall SEC in 2019. So we always reference 2019. Come on, we're LSU. You should. We had a magical season. Best team of all time. Whatever you want to do. So here's the thing. It didn't matter who was on LSU's schedule in 2019. It simply didn't. We were going to beat the daylights out of whoever, okay? And then, of course, the Alabama game was always going to be close or whatever. But here's the thing. One thing that did help 2019, that team got a weak bottom half of the SEC. So we played Vanderbilt, who was awful. Then we also played Mississippi State, who was awful. We also played Arkansas, who was awful. And then we played Ole Miss, who was awful, okay? Now, take a look at those three programs. All three of them, just in the past year, took massive leaps forward. Now, I know Mississippi State didn't, but they beat us. Mike Leach had something on us that we just couldn't figure out, which is play zone defense against a mesh air raid offense, but we couldn't figure that out. We have millions of dollars spent on our coaches. We couldn't figure out this very simple thing. And someone just bought a shirt. Shout out to Roger buying a shirt. I like it, Raj. So, Roger, you're going to get an elongated super chat right here involving Auburn. So I bring up those other three teams because those three teams are trending in the right direction. Mississippi State, I was talking about, the cancerous locker room and the Armed Forces Bowl. Mike Leach is still a problem, though. You look at Arkansas. Arkansas is a lot like LSU. Yeah, they lost Felipe Franks. Yes, they lost Mike Woods in the transfer portal. But they return a lot of these 5th and 6th year seniors. They're going to be pretty solid. Then you have Ole Miss. The Lane Train's a real deal. Matt Corral, probably the best quarterback in the SEC, even though when he played on the road, he was a turnover machine. But then again, we got to go to Oxford this year. So the bottom line is at the bottom of the SEC, especially in the SEC West, got better. And they are not automatic wins. In 2019, our beloved LSU Tigers, our greatest team of all time, we beat down all those teams, right? And we would have beat down the version of those teams last season if we played them. But now, our team is in 2021 won't be as good as 2019. We're going to have a really good team. Don't get it twisted. But who is on the schedule is going to really matter. Which leads us to Auburn. I agree with you, Roger. I hated what Auburn did. And I understand it seems like I'm appeasing the Alabama fans in the chat by saying this. But if you've watched any other live stream, you know how much I hated Auburn's coaching changes. Now, not from an LSU perspective. I'm fine with it. But I hated what Auburn did. I hated what they did at coaching. I thought Gus Malzahn was a really good coach. They beat Alabama multiple times. They went to a national championship game with Nick Marshall at quarterback. Now, Gus Malzahn, of course, Auburn has a lot of strings being pulled. It's not just Alan Green, the athletic director. It's not just this program. Auburn's got a lot of boosters and board members, and it's kind of like Texas, where they probably think they're a little bit better than they actually are. And Auburn said, look, we're tired of Gus Malzahn. We're tired of the gimmicky offense. We want to go get someone else. And they get Brian Harsin from Boise State. Now, how many of you say shiver me timbers when Brian Harsin from Boise State comes over? Not many of you. At least when Auburn hired Gus Malzahn, he had a track record of tearing up the SEC, whether that was with Auburn as the OC or with Arkansas as the OC. Gus Malzahn was really good. I don't get Gus Malzahn hate at a school like Auburn, where your arch rival is Alabama, and there's a lot of pressure to beat Alabama, aka the greatest college football run we've ever seen. And every single year, if you're at Auburn, you have to draw Georgia out of the SEC East as your permanent cross-division rival. Georgia, who's a top 5 recruiter. But Auburn said, no, we don't want Gus Malzahn anymore. Let's bring in Brian Harsin. Maybe he'll have some outside-the-box ideas. Okay, Brian Harsin comes in from Boise State. He's going to make an outside-the-box hire at offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, right? No, he doesn't do that. He brings over Mike Bobo from the high-powered offense of South Carolina, and he brings over Derek Mason, whose Vanderbilt defense, by the way, was the only other SEC team that averaged 7 yards per play given up defensively. You know who that other team was? It was us. So Vanderbilt's defense was the only defense in the SEC that was as bad as ours on a yards per play basis. Okay, there was only 4 teams that gave up 7 yards per play defensively. Vanderbilt was one of them, and we were 2. I think it was UNLV and someone else. But my point being is I understand Derek Mason was not the defensive coordinator. He was a head coach, and he didn't have the kind of athletes he's going to have at Auburn. And I like some of the things that Auburn has done, especially if they get Donovan Kaufman in the transfer portal out of Rummel High School, which I think they will. And they also got Dylan Brooks at the last second there. Those are really good pickups personnel-wise, okay? But I didn't like that Auburn got rid of their linebackers coach, Travis Williams, who was, ask a lot of people, they'll tell you, that dude was really good. That dude was a really, really, really good linebackers coach and a great recruiter. And I just didn't like some of the changes that they made coaching-wise. So, look, I know Roger asked a question about Auburn. If you're an LSU fan, you should like the fact that Auburn is trending negatively in my mind. But the other 3 West teams, okay, we know Texas A&M. They're recruiting at a high clip. They don't have skilled guys, but their linemen are beast. Alabama's Alabama, okay? So that leaves us with Auburn and the bottom 3, which is Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. Those 3 teams have gone way up. They're trending in the right direction. They have innovative coaches. They have a lot of positive momentum. They all 3 have great fan bases and a lot of rich history. But that's a problem. They don't recruit as good as us. Neither one of those 3 teams ever will recruit as good as LSU. Auburn will get a little bit closer. So that is something that you would like. You would rather, the weaker coaching staff to be with Auburn. Now, does that mean Brian Harsin's going to be a disaster? No. But I hated both of their coordinator hires. Now, I understand what an Auburn fan watching this would say is, well, you are an LSU fan. You hired 2 guys who have never called plays at the Division I Power 5 level. And to that, I say yes. But I would rather that 2 guys looking to prove themselves than 2 guys who are retreads that have been cashing $1 million checks despite their units being in the bottom 5 of the SEC every single season. I don't know what's happening to Carlos. I think Carlos went from an LSU fan to an Alabama fan. What's up, Josh? So, Roger, hopefully that answers your question. Let's go to Rai with another super chat. Bring your question in, Rai. It's all about and guess what? My guy Roger just got a shirt. So, Roger, it's to you. Oh, SPH. We already did a whole segment on that a little bit earlier. And that's the thing. Bama has a little bit more clarity at quarterback. They know for sure they're rolling with Bryce Young. LSU losing our QB last week was a final straw. I didn't. I guess Carlos was a TJ Finley fan. I was too, but I'm not going to lose my fandom over one kid transferring. What's up, Tom? It was good to talk with you in the comment section earlier today. Let's go to Tom right here. Everyone welcome Tom. I think this is your first live chat, Tom. Tom Mack. I like that. Is that Tom, is that Harrison Ford in your picture? When you bring in a head coach, you have to let him bring in assistants. Otherwise, you'll get a... Yeah, I just... Carlos is going wild. L. Cutie says, LO Alden bust Bama players at the pro level. I mean, they haven't been phenomenal. It is kind of crazy, though, when you go back to that 2011 LSU versus Alabama matchup, and, you talk about all the pros that played in that game. There was only a handful of the pros in that game that actually turned out to be, like, really good at the NFL level. Like, it is kind of crazy. So, like, on Alabama, Courtney Upshaw had a decent NFL career, but he wasn't special. Dante Hightower had a special career. And then offensively, they didn't really have anyone that turned out to be, like, special. And then LSU, on that 2011 defense, Mo Claiborne wasn't ever good in the NFL, but Tyrann Mathieu exceeded expectations at the NFL level. Michael Brockers exceeded expectations at the NFL level. They're both still playing. So, yeah, I'm guessing. And then offensively, obviously, Odell exceeded expectations at the NFL level. Jarvis wasn't playing yet at that point. None of the running backs on that team. Ruben Randall had a good NFL career. But, yeah, outside of – so Tyrann Mathieu was elite. Dante Hightower was elite at the NFL level. Trent Richardson was a major bust. It is kind of crazy. And then you go to the 2019. Well, it's still early, but I guarantee you there's going to be better pros that come out of that 2019 Bama LSU game than there will be from that 2011 Bama LSU game. It is kind of funny to think about, right? But that is a narrative out there that the Bama players don't turn out to be excellent at the next level, which is kind of true, but it's kind of not. So obviously, Derrick Henry's lived up to expectations. Julio Jones did. Calvin Ridley. But I'd have to do a whole research topic on this. Do LSU players perform better in the NFL than Bama players? Because what's interesting is there were some LSU players that got drafted really high and never lived up to expectations. But there's also a lot of Bama players that get drafted high but don't live up to expectations. The NFL can be so random, right? So, if you were to guess, based on, their college production, you had Danielle Hunter. What's up, Josh? Thanks for the Venmo, man. And Josh, I appreciate that. I really do. So you look at the success, right, of Bama and LSU. So SPH, you're going to have to help me with this. How many third, fourth, and fifth round Bama picks have turned out to be superstars? Because there's quite a few LSU players that were like second, third, fourth, fifth round picks that turned out to be great. So obviously, Tyrann Matthews, one of them, Danielle Hunter's another one. That list goes pretty deep, right? So I don't know. It's kind of tough. Jarvis Landry was a second round pick. So it's interesting. What's up, Judah? I haven't seen from you in a while. Yeah, Bo Scarborough. And Carlos is just is lost it. Oh, did y'all see this photo this week? Yeah, Danielle Hunter. Did y'all see this photo this week? There's Marlon Humphrey. I did not know this. I did not know Marlon Humphrey had a sister who was a track star at LSU, and Marlon Humphrey was at LSU graduation. He was wearing an LSU gown. That is so weird. Oh yeah, Minka Fitzpatrick as well. Yeah, those guys are beasts. So yeah. Derrick Henry is still the freakiest guy I've ever stood next to. He's so wild. She's a runner. Yeah, that's right. And so Marlon Humphrey put her LSU gown on. That was really cool. That's really cool. That's called being a good sport and supporting your sister. I like that. So I blocked Carlos. I don't get that though. I don't understand. I understand people like SPH and FFYM having a conversation, but I don't understand blitzing another fan base. What are you accomplishing? What do you get out of that? Huh? D from the Ville. Nash Vegas in the building. But Max, it wasn't even trolling. He was just going off the deep end. So here's the thing, Johnny. I just heard Hey come back. And she's got my Rotolo's pizza in there. You guys know I really love you. When the Rotolo's pizza's hot in there. Hot. I get their deep dish pizzas. Yeah, it didn't seem trolly. I know Mo Funky. So here's the thing, guys. I'll get back to LSU talk in just a second. But some of you asked me about my time at LSU. Okay, and someone got confused because I have 4,000 subscribers on here, and it's weird because we were talking about labels earlier, right? And this is kind of weird, but some people think I'm a former LSU player. Okay, I am not a former LSU player, but they thought that because I had 4,000 subscribers, which isn't a lot. It really is not. But so a lot of people get mistaken and think that I played. Me, 5'9" LSU football player, played defensive tackle in college. Okay, I mean in high school, I was 5'9", 170, 180. It just depends on my weight at the time. I also played soccer, which is weird. A defensive tackle and a center midfielder in soccer doesn't compute. But it's strange because my dream was to play LSU football, but I am not a former LSU player. Okay, I wish I was. I would do anything to just dress up for one practice. And I shared this story on our Friday video. I lived in McVoy dorm on LSU's campus, and I walked 5 separate times from my dorm to the football facility. And it's a long walk from McVoy to there. I couldn't tell you how long it is. It's a pretty sizable walk. And I walked there, and I never had the courage to actually walk into. I would get to where the train tracks were, if you are familiar with the area, and I would just walk back. I would be too afraid to say no, and I knew I'd be told no, but it still sticks to me to this day that I didn't actually just walk in there. But no, I am not a former player. Okay, I gave him a 23 grade. SPH, we got a Power Hour LSU Big Al's in Huntsville. There's a stand-up club in Huntsville. I'll come do a set. Oh, Trey, you're doing pizza tonight? What kind of pizza is Trey doing tonight? We're having a debate about Minkah Fitzpatrick. Dude's a beast. However, I actually went and looked at these stats a few days ago because I hear this comparison all the time. Minkah Fitzpatrick and Tyrann Mathieu. They are not the same. Now, Minkah Fitzpatrick was phenomenal at Alabama, but he was not Tyrann Mathieu good. Especially 2011 Tyrann Mathieu. Everyone welcome Tommy to the chat. Everyone welcome Tommy to the chat. Tommy O'Lear. Or am I saying your name right, Tommy? I love your show. Great stuff. Everyone welcome Tommy. There we go. I think we got a few other Tommies. Yeah, I know Telly. Everyone welcome Telly too. I missed my Rudy moment. Dude, I would have done anything. And I regret it. I regret it every single day. And, it's probably top 2 or 3 biggest regrets of my life. But instead, I got into the media, and I liked it. But I always felt, I was like, God, I should have just tried to be a coach or whatever. But yeah. Any walk-ons for LSU that game? I know, what was the name of the guy? Danny Graff. That he was the fastest guy on the team, and they let him play kickoff. I think that was his name, Daniel Graff. He wore number 33, I remember. Daniel Graff was a beast on kickoff. But the thing is, I don't want and something else is, so this person reached out to me, and he sent a DM, and he said, what year did you play at LSU? And I was like, I didn't play at LSU. And the reason why he thought that was, number one, I had 4,000 subscribers, which, go look on any YouTube channel, 4,000 is not a lot. And number two, he thought that because of the film study. That I've never been a coach. I've never coached at the high school level. The film study is just stuff that I've just learned. And, the key thing, whenever you do X's and O's piece, so like tomorrow, our Eli Ricks film study. So tomorrow night at 7 Central, we're doing an Elias Ricks film study. And we're only doing 2 plays, okay? But we're going to break down every aspect of the 2 plays. The funny thing about it is I actually listened to someone that actually knows what they're talking about, and he broke down the coverage, and he did it on Twitter. So I'm going to share his perspective, and then I'm going to give you my perspective. But the most important thing whenever you're looking at football film is understand that you don't know the play call. You don't know the assignments. So that's why, if you on the film study, I always say that. I say, I don't know the play call. I don't know the assignment, and I don't know how the players are coached, right? So one thing that's very important, if you ever want to study film or game tape or anything like that, is go into the situation understanding that you know nothing, okay? And understand that when you break down a play, it's important to actually look at the plays before it, okay? Did this play caller decide to call this play because on the play before, they gave them a certain look? So those things are very important. And then if you could piece those things together, you start to see, how Lane Kiffin calls a game and how Dan Mullen calls a game. And on tomorrow's film study, you will learn that Dan Mullen actually stole. I don't like saying the word stole because coaches steal from each other all the time. But on tomorrow night's film study, Dan Mullen actually stole a play from 2019 LSU and tried to run it on us. Okay. And that's why I want to tune in tomorrow. It's pretty interesting. All right. We'll see you tomorrow night, Trey. Let's see. I think Bama can have a little bit of a down year next year. And I understand. Don't ever say Bama can have a down year because they always just beat us down. I'm a little nervous about if from a Bama perspective, I'd be a little nervous about Bill O'Brien. But we've talked too much Bama tonight. Once again, Rai, this is coming to you all the way in Canada. I got your bubble mailer up there, man. Rai, I'm gonna be angry though if they say, shipping this to Canada will be $1,000. I'm not gonna be happy. There you go. Oh, Rai, let me get to your question. You did super chat a second ago. That's my bad. Actually, Rai, I hope you don't hate me now. Okay, so there's your super chat. And let's get to your question. What's up, Eric? Eric, I got to say something, man. Someone is coming for your Garrett Nussmeier president, fan club president title. I don't remember who. Okay, here we go. Rai, I'm sorry about this, man. I'll let you down. Waiting to answer your super chat all the way here. My question, Butte, in my opinion, could be the best wide receiver in the country. What odds do you give him? And do you think the QB choice affects it in a big way? By the way, I say he has a 75 chance to win the best wide receiver. Okay, good question here. All right. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Reed and SPH, please. We're done talking Bama, NFL. Bama produce okay. Because I want to move on because I want y'all's opinion on this. And I want all of us to be on the same page. The way I normally do it is I let you guys go back and forth or whatever. Okay. The bottom line is LSU produces great NFL players. Alabama produces great NFL players. So I want Reed and SPH to quit their little Twitter fight here. What's up, Larry? Larry, you missed it. There was a 337 bromance earlier, and you're just now joining us. We had Tomcat from the 337. We had Brian from the 337. You missed it, Larry. Okay. Now, Reed and SPH, stop. Now that I have your attention. All right. Here's the correct answer to NFL or whatever development. Okay. Alabama produces great NFL players. Okay. Marlon Humphrey, Calvin Ridley, whoever you want to mention. LSU produces great NFL players. The NFL, it's totally random who succeeds and who doesn't. Now, I personally thought Justin Jefferson was going to be a great NFL player. I did not think he was going to be the best rookie wide receiver of all time, but he was. I also thought Trent Richardson was going to be a beast. He wasn't a beast. He was not good. So, the NFL is totally random. We don't know who's going to be great, okay? The best quarterbacks in the NFL are from Cal and Texas Tech and Michigan. There was a Super Bowl won in the past decade by a Delaware Blue Hen. We don't know, okay? We simply don't know who's going to be a great pro. However, we all know LSU produces the best pros. Now to the next topic, to Rai Super Chat. So enough about the Bama LSU NFL chatter. We're moving on, okay? If you keep talking it, I'm going to block you. You could talk. Oh, SPH. We're beating Bama this year. Remember, Ed Orgeron said, this is our house. He said Tuscaloosa is our house. Okay? And here's the thing. We struggled when Alabama comes to our house. We haven't beaten them in Baton Rouge since 2010. We've gotten close. Not in recent years. We've gotten close. But still. LSU is 1-0 when it comes to playing Tuscaloosa in the past 3 years. We beat Bama next year. Yeah, SPH, you could tell Bama was coming for us. I felt so bad. I was like, oh, my God. The spread was 28. Oh, man. Language, guys, language. So enough Bama LSU fighting. So let's go to the Alabama. Let's go to Kayshon Boutte. So that was Rai's question. So we're all talking about Kayshon Boutte right here. Now, is Kayshon Boutte the best wide receiver in the SEC? I would say maybe. I have him tied for first right now with Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. Treylon's really good. Now, the thing about Treylon Burks is he's in a similar situation as Kayshon. He doesn't have a great number two. He's got some talented number two options, but, Treylon Burks' number two option went to Oklahoma, Mike Woods. So here's the thing. Kayshon's going to need someone else to step up. You look at the last few Biletnikoff Award winners, they're either from Alabama or LSU. So you have Devonta Smith, you have Justin Jefferson, and then you have, of course, Jerry Jeudy. What do all three of them have in common? Well, they played in elite offenses with elite quarterbacks with elite supporting cast. Kayshon Boutte, at this point in time, has a really talented supporting cast. However, Kayshon Boutte does not have the same supporting cast that any one of those three guys had over the past couple of years, okay? Obviously, Devonta Smith's supporting cast was immaculate. Jamar Chase's supporting cast was unreal, probably the best ever. And then, Jerry Jeudy's supporting cast was Henry Ruggs, Devonta Smith, and Waddle. Okay, that was 2017. So Waddle was a freshman then, but still, they were still ridiculous. So if Kayshon is to win the Biletnikoff, he's going to get doubled a lot. What you saw versus Ole Miss is not how it's going to be during the season. So we're going to need someone else to step up. Now, for me, do I take Kayshon over Treylon Burks? That's tough. They're both up there. Very similar wide receivers. But yeah, I would give Kayshon a slight edge over Burks. That might be my bias. A lot of great SEC wide receivers are left this past season. So Florida's two best targets left. LSU's best target from last season, gone. Alabama's two best targets from last season, gone. So, there's a lot of really great wide receivers that are leaving the conference. Ole Miss's best wide receiver by a wide margin is gone. So, yeah, Kayshon's up there, right? So can he win the Biletnikoff next year? Yeah, he absolutely can. He's definitely got the upside to do that. And he's definitely got the upside to be the best wide receiver next season. Now, here's the thing. You don't want him to be too good, because if he is at his full potential next season, I would be shocked. Let's say he's in Jamar Chase's situation. He would think about not playing his junior season. He's that good. I mean, he's that good. He's got that high of a ceiling. When you get 300 yards in any game, you're a monster, especially in a game where the weather changed and whatever. So yeah, we need a number 2 to step up. Now, who's that number 2 going to be? I'm going to do a video on that coming up. I want this next week to be a little bit more defensive back focused. And whenever I talk about defense, which is why I really need you tomorrow night, guys, at 7 p.m. Central, our Eli Ricks film study. It's not going to be long. It's only, I think, 20 or so minutes. I need my defensive content to do good so I can still justify doing defensive pieces. I know quarterback content and Eric Gilbert content and TJ Finley content draws the most viewers. But if you're watching this right now, you're a hardcore LSU football fan. And if that's the case, I need you for the recruiting videos. I need you for the NFL draft videos. I need you for all of it. Now, I understand some of you don't care about recruiting. Some of you don't like live streams. Some of you only like this and that. I've gotten some good comments this week that some of you only like the 15-minute videos. And I know some of you only watch the live streams. And then there's people like Roger and Mo Funky who like it all, and Eric and whoever else. So, it's to each their own. So, going back to Kayshawn, it's very important for someone else to step up. Now, who is that guy going to be? I still like Jaray Jenkins a lot. Coy's Ole Miss game was really good. Surprisingly, and I say surprisingly, Trey Palmer had a really good Ole Miss game. Really good. He did not only the big things right, he did the little things, which is really impressive because he almost got decapitated in that game on a kickoff return. So, yeah, I really do. I really like Kayshawn going into next season. But who is that number 2 guy? It's going to be a wide open conversation. And it's not only who the number 2 guy is going to be, who's going to be your slot. And that's the problem is going into 2019, Joe Brady made a quick decision. He said, it's the Terrace, Jamar, and Justin show. And whoever's going to play tight end, which leads us to our next topic. Cole Taylor's still a year away for me. The thing about Cole Taylor is, yes, he's 6'6". Yes, I've heard great things about his work ethic. Yes, he stepped up for us against Florida and, lucky enough had his shoe fall off. That's great, and we'll always remember Cole Taylor for that moment. But there's a caveat to it. He's not a great blocker. In fact, he is a huge liability as a blocker. The Ole Miss game was really bad for him as a blocker, and then it showed in the spring game. So here's the thing. If you're a tight end and you can't block, then you have got to overcome that with being an elite wide receiver. So we need return in the form of Travis Kelce and Darren Waller. Now, obviously, those are 2 of the best athletes in the world, but that's the thing. Those guys don't block, but they give you something as a receiver that no one else can give you. Okay? Cole Taylor doesn't have that either. And he is a good receiver, but is he going to catch difficult 50-50 balls?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, does everyone say hi to Hey? Come say hi. How was the trip?
Good.
Okay, I want to say hi to Hey. Look, she's wearing tie-dye.
Tired. I hate Monroe.
Shreveport's better.
I would have rather have gone to Shreveport so I could get you pizzas because I took the cooler because I was going to get you pizzas, but they never have them at that Walmart. I mean, that Target.
Mm-hmm.
But you got your deep dish pizza.
Got the deep dish. I want to say hi.
Probably
Phone's
got
ringing.
on again.
Close the door. There you. So that's the thing. Now, to defend Cole Taylor is the same way I'll defend TJ Finley and any true freshman that played last season. They are a true freshman for a reason. Cole Taylor's body is not completely developed. Cole Taylor, he should really listen to what Tommy Moffitt's going to tell him because his body is not ready to be an SEC tight end at this point. Okay? And we might have to wait year 3. So here's where things get interesting. All right? Reed, stop it. FFYM is fine. You guys got to be nice to the Bama fans, right? Why are we still fighting with Bama fans? Okay, if it was November, I can understand it. Nath, what's good? I haven't seen you in a while. Oh, LSU's going to get kicked as usual. Oh, Nath, I was showing you some power, some love. I guess I got to go anti-Bama now. Roger, I'm going to get to your Corey Raymond thing in just a second. But here's the thing. Now, you guys are about to go wild. You guys are about to go wild to what I'm about to say. All right? So hold your horses. Hold your horses. Like hold your secretariats. Hold your sea biscuits. Hold your, I can't think of another horse. Seattle Slews. Hold your horses. Why? Reed, stop, please. We all know that Nat already knows about the ACC weakness. Nat says he wants the smoke. I love it. It's hour 45 in. But I'm about to say something that's going to break the internet. Reed, why are you done? Settle down. Settle down. Nat, didn't you just say you're a Clemson fan? I love me. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Reed says he's done. Okay. Now, will the Alabama fans in the chat, let's just stop. Okay. I already said we're going to stop. We're going to stop I think a lot of the other 50 people not John back and forth. They're a little tired of the chat being spammed with back and forth over this. I've already said the final word on the Bama LSU thing. Both produce elite players. Bama's had more success than us in the past decade. Those are just undeniable facts, okay? But then again, Bama's had more success than anyone else, okay? So, here's the thing. Let me say what I'm about to say because I'm about to break the internet. An STTDB and RTWFU. Okay, I got to do it. And if you're a Bama fan, you got to understand I'm an LSU fan at heart, baby. You know it. RTWFU. We coming, baby. Let's go, Coach O. Let's go. RTWFU. I love it. STTDB. But anyway, Jack Besh has a real opportunity to be the best tight end on this team day one. He's got a real opportunity to do that. Because, you know, and also, you know, the more I watch, the more I kind of like Nick Storrs. I think Nick Storrs is a real deal blocker. He's also a really good special teamer. Obviously, he's not going to stretch the field. He's not an elite receiver. So we'll see. Little brother syndrome. We hate Auburn as much as yeah, I think so too. Amacat to a certain degree. So this is my stance on this. Alabama competes for national championships every year, and they're so much better than Auburn. It's kind of cheapened the Iron Bowl for the neutral fan. You're right, Silo. Jake Johnson might be the real deal. So Jack Bech has a real opportunity to win this tight end job if he can block decently. Now he's got a bulkier body. He's got a decent frame to add some weight if they want him to be a potential tight end. But my thing is, if your tight ends can't block, then there's no need to even bring in a tight end. Just put a receiver on there. Cyrus says Jack is our future number 7. I like Jack Bech a lot, but that's bold. So, if you're saying someone is a future number 7, that means you're saying Jack Bech is like a future NFL player. Like, if you're not going to get drafted, don't put on that number 7. The Jonathan Giles era is done. Now, Roger, I want to get to your point. Okay. Did LSU extend Corey Raymond, or did I dream that? No, I think they just, or was that Mickey Joseph? No, it was Mickey Joseph that they just signed a 2-year extension. I don't remember what happened, but Mickey Joseph's going to be here for a long time. And part of that is because Mickey Joseph was rumored to get the Southern job, and obviously LSU doesn't want to lose Mickey Joseph because of all the success we've had at wide receiver. So they don't want to break that relationship Mickey Joseph has with all these guys. So, yeah, that's what you're probably dreaming. And why are we not popping champagne instead of complaining about TJ leaving? Well, Roger, here's my thing on that, okay? I didn't want TJ Finley to leave, okay? I didn't. I wish he would have stayed. I still think he should have stayed. And the reason why is because I don't know if he can go somewhere right now and start, all right? I just think it's too late in the process for him to go somewhere else and start. And wherever he goes, he's going to be in the same position he would be in where he is right now, a backup quarterback. I don't know if he can go to another Division I school and be a number 2 at a elite Power 5 level school. And, if you're TJ Finley, you still have 4 years of eligibility remaining. So I would have at least seriously thought about staying if I was TJ Finley. And he has 5 games experience. If we needed him off the bench, it doesn't get better than someone with 5 games experience being your number 3 guy. So yeah, I hated that TJ that left. I always cheer. And here's the thing. I always have an emotional connection to 3-star Louisiana guys. As part of the reason why Matthew Langlois is my favorite player in this next class, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Justin Jefferson, those guys, Jacob Hesters, made the most of their opportunity. They came there and put in the work. Foster Moreau, Duke Riley, whoever, and Mo Claiborne. And I always want those guys to do well. I do. Now, to your point, Roger, on the other side of that, I don't think I would necessarily be popping champagne, but I'm also happy that TJ could move on with his career if he wasn't really happy, and LSU can move on with a smaller quarterback room. So, I'm not happy TJ left at all, but it does provide a little bit more clarity at the quarterback position, which is the most important position to have clarity. So, yeah, I wanted I want TJ to do well wherever he goes. Please, Reed, settle down. Please. Please. Nath, please settle down. I don't know why y'all are going so hard at each other. It's a Saturday night. I mean, if y'all want to fight, we can go meet up. We could do a PHL Jake Paul Floyd Mayweather pay-per-view. You got to do a $5 super chat to watch. Oh man. K Bar, what it do? K Bar 1400 S block. That sounds like the block where we're going to go set up this PHL fight. It's going down at the K Bar at the 1400 S block. Party going on until security strictly enforced. 2 drink minimum. It's going down. Ladies, bring on your... I love it. I love it. Oh, man. No, Kane, Roger's good people. But I understand what Roger's trying to say. All right. This is what Roger is trying to say. He's trying to say we shouldn't dwell too much on one player transferring. And I agree with that. You shouldn't. This is a thing. Okay. You should want TJ to do well wherever he goes. Okay. This is common that players transfer, especially at quarterback, where quarterback rooms are loaded. However, it's not one of those things where like I'm cheering or I'm happy that someone leaves, because the more quarterbacks, okay. Oh, okay. Popping champagne on extending a great coach. Okay, that's fair. Roger and Kane, y'all are 2 of my top viewers, so I don't want y'all. Roger's a good dude. In fact, I think Roger and I are meeting up this week. That's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it, Roger. And Roger's going to be getting his early Doucette card. Thank you so much, Roger. I appreciate all your support. I really do. And Kane, I appreciate all your support too. I know, Reed. Dude, I love a good freestyle, man. You know what's funny? And we're 2 hours in. We go into different topics 2 hours in. It's funny though, like one of my favorite freestylers. I should go check him out. His name is Ray Wembley. Okay. This dude is so good that freaking Common was in New Orleans and just pulled up to one of his like freestyles. And Ray Wembley is one of these grinders. And I met Ray. He doesn't remember me at all. He's got like 30,000 followers on TikTok. Ray Wembley is a monster, and Common, who to me, out of all the popular rappers, now here's the thing. I can't tell you, I've never listened to enough hip hop to really have an opinion on this. The same way I can have an opinion on LSU football because I'm watching LSU football every single day. Common to me is one of the best freestylers out of the popular rappers. Like you can go up to Common right now and he could give you a bar. Like, I mean, just right off the top of my head. Ray Wembley is so good. And there's a video of Ray and Common freestyling. And I could do like playful freestyles, but not give you really anything. I know like the Lil Dicky fans will come out and say, what about Lil Dicky? Lil Dicky on Sway in the Morning, that's an all-time great freestyle. The Sports Center da-da-da at the end of it, God, that freestyle is so good. But yeah, you know, I appreciate real rappers that can give you a freaking fire lyric just off the top of their head. However, this is the same thing for a comic. If you ever see a stand-up, if you ever see Dave Chappelle walking around or Mark Normand or Ali Wong, whoever, don't ever go up to a comedian and say, tell me a joke. The same thing is true for rappers. Don't ever walk up to a rapper, doesn't matter how big or small they are, and say, "Give me a rhyme." Okay? Unless you are planning to Venmo them to do it on the spot. Now that's a little bit different. Okay? Um, so yeah, never go up to a comedian, especially a famous one, and say, "Tell me a joke." Or just any comedian, really. And never go up to a rapper and say, "Give me a line." Okay? Don't do it. Now, best freestylers. Common's up there for me, but God, I'll listen to Mickey Fax all day. I'll listen to Mickey Fax all day. Underground hip hop. He's got a decent following. Mickey Fax is the best. Mickey Fax is just the absolute best freestyler of all time, in my opinion. But that's my personal favorite. So you can't say all time when maybe two of you know who that is. And I'm not like a hip hop head. I was listening to Shade 45 one time, and Mickey Fax was on there, and he was so good. I pulled over to the side of the road and looked him up and followed him. I've been a fan ever since. So yeah, my two favorite freestylers, Mickey Fax and Ray Wembley. Those are my top two, but those are underground. Common's a monster, though. Common is a freaking monster. And I know he and Tiffany had a shirt together, and he's living the good life, and he doesn't need the freestyle game as much anymore, but I think he still got it. I still think Common's on top of the game. Old timers love Mickey Fax on my time. I tell you, Mickey Fax. That's low key. That's kind of like going up to a rock and roll fan and you say, "Hey, rock and roll guy, who's your favorite band?" And if they say Jethro Tull, they're a real rock and roll fan. Okay. You're not a real rock and roll fan if the only bands you can name are AC/DC and Aerosmith and Rolling Stones or whoever. Real rock and roll fans will tell you my favorite band is CDR or CCR, whatever, Clearwater Revival, whatever the name is. I'm not as big of a rock guy. But yeah, Mickey Fax, monster. Let's see. Yeah, Mickey Joseph was good. Kim Mulkey, and yeah, William Tate. That's a pretty big moment for LSU. You know, at FFYM, I'm a huge Tom Segura fan. Well, no. I hate saying I'm a huge fan of someone when I'm not. I am a fan of Tom Segura. You know, before I actually became like a decent comedian, I got to see Tom live. He was in Orlando the night before LSU played their Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl, and my dad and I got to go see him on New Year's Eve, and we got to hang out with him for a little bit. Nice dude. And he's a killer. Tom's a killer. Now, the thing is, there's a lot of comedians that are famous now, but they can't kill an hour. Tom could kill an hour. Okay. Some comedians that are really big now, they're not really that great on stage. They're better actors or Instagrammers or anything like that. Segura is just, I think Segura's stand-up is better than anything else he does. Okay. But like, you know, obviously FFYM, if you're a Tom Segura fan, you're obviously also a Bert Kreischer fan. You can't be a fan of one and not the other. Bert's the opposite for me. Bert's podcast, and I know they do a podcast together. Bert's podcast, the Bertcast, I used to listen to it all the time. Fantastic. Bert as an actor, I'm going to see the Machine movie. It's going to be great. Bert as a stand-up, he's decent. Okay, Tom's an elite stand-up. Bert's a good stand-up, and he would be fun to go see live. I would love to open for Bert. But, you know, a lot of Bert's openers are really good stand-ups. So like Shane Torres, Jesus Trio. I don't know how to say his last name. He's really good though. God, how do you say his last name? I've seen him a few times. On crap. What did I see? Jesus, whatever. I saw him on that NBC show. But yeah, Bert. My buddy Dusty Slay opened for Bert. 2 bears, 1 cave. Yeah. How did you receive that Kim Mulkey press conference, specifically the theatrics? We don't have to get too specific, just curious. So, yeah, I've gotten a few questions about Kim Mulkey. This is an LSU football channel. I don't know. I know more about stand-up comedy than I know about any other LSU sport. So I'm not the absolute best at this when discussing women's basketball. Now, I will say I was a big fan of the Sue Gunthers and the Van Chancellors and the Pokey Chapman era. And it is interesting the double standard and how LSU handled Pokey Chapman and how they handled Les Miles. That's a conversation that should be a little bit more public as far as how both of those situations were handled. Now, as far as the opening press conference, I didn't watch it. I did see the theatrics. Here's the thing. That's who Kim Mulkey is. LSU knew that when they hired them. They knew that. This is how I've always felt, okay? Don't force people to be something that they are not, because that's only going to lead to more destruction and dysfunction, okay? Those theatrics Kim Mulkey had angered a lot of people. I won't comment on those theatrics themselves. All of you have your own opinions on that. But if you cheered the Kim Mulkey hire, but you're angry by what she did, then you didn't know who Kim Mulkey was prior to before she came here. That didn't shock me at all. Look, she's an all-time great women's basketball coach. She's about to get introduced to the Basketball Hall of Fame by Michael Jordan. She's going to win a lot of games at LSU. And yes, she's a hefty price tag, but the season tickets are going to sell out. She is a superstar. She's one of the best to ever hold the clipboard ever, period. She's top 10 women's basketball coaches of all time. To the point, I would like to see an elite women's coach, specifically a female coach, get the opportunity to coach the men. I'm shocked that didn't happen. I'm shocked that a men's program didn't go to Kim Mulkey and say, look, we want to see, we'll give you $5 million a year or whatever. I think Becky Hammond deserves her chance with the Spurs or wherever. It doesn't matter. Point being is that's who she is. And, I wasn't, so many people were shocked. They're like, oh my God, how could she do something? That's who she is. And, if you're Scott Woodward and you walk up to Kim Mulkey and you say, oh, Kim, I don't want you to do things like that, then that says less about Woodward, right? Because you knew this. We knew this. So, that's all I'll say about that. Let's see. Yeah, no question. I mean, I would be shocked if LSU women's basketball is not in a Final Four in the next 5 years. I would be really shocked. Mulkey is really good. She's really, really good. And LSU has some history. And that is a good recruiting pitch to say, look, we don't have a national championship yet. You could be the first. And look, there are a lot of LSU women's basketball players that have brands. Simone Augustus is a big freaking deal. Sylvia Fowles was a big freaking deal. So, there's room to be a superstar, especially at LSU. LSU really embraces stardom if you embrace LSU back. That's part of the thing that, I think. Here's a good example. Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons just he was so focused on just getting to the NBA, he didn't need LSU. He just kind of sort of just went through the motions. We didn't even make the tournament. So it's interesting how that works. But I think LSU could have a huge, huge women's basketball presence with Kim Mulkey. But understand, she's not PC. This is Andrew Dice Clay. This is that type of stuff. So, she's going to be edgy. So be it. Oh, absolutely, Cody. Johnny says, have you thought about interviewing recruits? You know what? Okay, here's my stance. Okay, Tom says, Credence Clearwater Revival. Thank you, Tom, for that. FFYM, I'll answer that in just a second. I know you're new to the channel. That's a tough question because I like all different styles. That was part of what hung me up as a comedian, too. I haven't been on stage in, God, it's coming up on a year. My last club weekend, and that was actually my last time I've been on stage. So yeah, I'll answer that in a second. But Johnny, to answer your question, have you thought about interviewing recruits? You want to know why interviewing recruits is a little bit different. If a recruit called me up and said, "Hey, can I hop on your show?" I'd think about it. I've never done an interview on here, and it's funny because interviewing used to be my favorite thing to do in broadcasting, but it's kind of strange how interview culture is changed, right? So here's a good example. So someone was mentioning Tom Segura a minute ago, and this is a funny thing about Tom. And by the way, if you guys don't mind, if you want to drop another super chat, Cash App, Venmo, it helps me justify staying on here a little bit longer. But we'll keep it going. Now, also you can, this helped a minute ago. Roger got his PHL shirt. Boom. Get yourself a PHL shirt right there. I'm loving this album talk. I'm going to admit something. I've never listened to a hip hop album from front to back. Outside of Outkast, I think I've only listened to one Outkast album front to back. I'm not a real hip hop fan. I would never lie about that. I like songs. I like freestyles, but I'm just not a big music guy in general. I know, Cody. Just click that link. Or did you get one? I think they're mailing them out this week, Cody. I don't know. It's kind of weird how they do it. They all mail them out at one. I don't know. What are the Gators doing for QB this year? Emery Jones will be their QB. And you should be scared about that because Dan Mullen is a QB wizard. Okay. So to answer your question, Johnny, because you're a big supporter. So this is the thing. Someone mentioned Tom Segura a minute ago. And what a lot of these podcasts do is they do what Joe Rogan does. They have a podcast and then they have a guest. Okay. But here's the thing about Joe Rogan is most people are tuning in to listen to what Joe Rogan has to say. Now he does have some big guests, and he's the biggest interview podcast on the planet. Top 5, no less. So the thing is, everyone tries to copy that. They say, okay, I want to do a channel where I interview people. Well, the problem is that there's no consistency in that, right? You can have different interviews for different things. Now, there are other channels that do recruit interviews. I listened to a good one with Mason Smith and my buddy Sam Spiegelman a while back. It was so good. But the thing is there's so many channels that are already doing that. And, I like talking to recruits. But it's kind of interview culture is weird. So if you have someone on there, what if their audio is not good? What if, they're disinterested? Those things happen a lot more than you think. What's up, Byron? So yeah, Johnny, it's a good idea. I've contemplated doing interviews for a while now, but something that's funny, Johnny, is If you actually go look at the analytics of some interviews, they don't do as well. So it's weird. It's really weird. Southern Cadillac was best Outcast. I always pronounce this album wrong. Outcast Aquanimity? Equimemy. Okay. I listen, my buddy produces this podcast with a comedian named Joshua Adams Myers. His name's Jeremiah Tittle. I worked with him at Sirius. He was my mentor at Sirius. And that was some of the best music I've ever listened to in my life. And I think that's the only album I've ever listened to front to back, Aquanimity. And how do you pronounce this? Equimemy. How do y'all pronounce this? Oh, Aquarius and Gemini together. Aquamini. How do you pronounce it? Aquamini? So Rosa Parks is like such an advanced song. And did y'all see that tweet from Andre 3000 this week? He tweeted out, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain on here. He's like, everyone's upbeat music and sad lyrics guy, Outcast. I don't think their genius will ever be touched. And then a lot of people got pissed off when Ron Funches, a comedian, ironically, tweeted, "We won't move forward as a society until we admit that Outkast was better than the Beatles." And here's the thing. If I give my honest opinion on that, that'll start a war. And I don't like starting wars on this channel. But if I were to give my opinion on who had a bigger impact on my childhood, I would go with Outkast because they did. When I was in high school, Shake It Like a Polaroid Picture. Yeah, those guys, and Andre and Big Man, legends, absolutely legends. And you know what's funny? A few years ago, you're watching that Super Bowl halftime show, and I was just waiting for Andre 3000 to make a surprise appearance with Big Boy. Didn't happen though. But it's like, how can you judge Outkast versus the Beatles? I just think that that's like hard. So it is Aquamini. So it's Aquamini. But there was a podcast. Joshua Adams Myers did a podcast. He breaks down the 500 greatest albums of all time, according to the Rolling Stone. And he has a guest who's a guest or a musical historian breaking down the album. And I remember listening. That was the only episode of that podcast I listened to because I'm not a huge music guy. But it's wild, like how different Outkast was. I was a big Outkast guy. Nelly and Ludacris, I know that's mainstream, but those two were like probably the biggest influence on me. So that's why like that versus battle a few months ago was such a big deal. Haley and I were like jamming. But it's weird though, like the bands that were big when you were in high school, like Haley and I were listening to NSYNC. So we go straight here to a super chat. Andre 3 Stacks is a goat. So here's Tony. I bought season tickets this year. Carter, please tell me your opinion on season football tickets. So Tony, everyone welcome Tony to the chat. Dropping a super chat, baby. 2 hours and 15 in here. I bought season tickets this year. Carter, please tell me your opinion on season football tickets. It's a good investment, Tony. I thought you couldn't get LSU season tickets anymore. I thought they were sold out for like decades. I thought it was, I don't know anything about season tickets at LSU. I really don't. So Tony, you know more about it than I do. I don't know a whole lot about the season ticket process at LSU. I always said that I would be. No, it's okay, Tony. That's a good question. I don't know a whole lot about the season tickets at LSU. I don't know how you even get on. I guess you would have to call up there and say, I want season tickets. Oh, they called you. That's interesting. Were you a season ticket holder prior? I doubt LSU would have problems selling their season tickets. Here's the thing. I don't know how I feel about where I like to sit the most in Tiger Stadium. I've sat everywhere. I've sat in the press box. I've sat in a suite once. I also sat in the student section. That's where I've watched most of my LSU games. Probably the student section. No, in the press box. Probably press box. But I've never gotten to the third level suite. Whatever. I don't know. They've added so much. It is interesting, though. I do think everyone should experience sitting on the very top row. It's so weird. It's so freaking weird sitting on the very top row of Tiger Stadium. So, yeah, Tony, so they called you. Where are your season tickets, Tony? I'll go to a game with you. So if you were my girlfriend, got Upper West? You sound like a New Yorker. I'm from the Upper West Side. FFYM, be honest with me. If I go to a Bama LSU game at Death Valley, am I safe in my Bama gear? That's debatable. Here's the thing, FFYM. Yes, probably. Now, just don't be obnoxious and don't have, I don't know what to tell you. Just don't be obnoxious. I don't think anyone's going to punch or jump you. It depends. I was going to in 2018, but was warned I would get harassed. Well, here's the thing. If LSU is winning, which as far as that matchup is concerned, it's a weird, right? If you're a dude, there's a more likely chance you're going to get. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. I don't know. I can't tell you. I was trying to justify whatever. It doesn't matter. If you're wearing the opposite team's colors, always understand that there's an opportunity that you'll get harassed because there's always drunk fans that want to start something. Okay. I've had friends get jumped in other stadiums. I could tell you this. My most hostile experience as a fan was Gainesville. So yeah, that would be my biggest thing. So Tony, hopefully I answered your question about season tickets. But yes, Florida is the worst place. And it's weird Rain said that at the same time I said it. East upper deck during sundown sucks. South upper deck is my least favorite though. Yeah, look. Honest opinion, the upper deck is not bad if it's your first time. If it's your first time, anywhere is going to be great. Or if it's a really big game, anywhere is going to be great. Okay. But, I wouldn't want to be upper deck for McNeese or something like that. So, yeah. Let me know if that answers your question, Tony, about Upper East, West Side. Kane, thanks for the super chat. What have you learned about producing radio and podcasts you wish you knew when you were younger? That's a great question. FFYM, I know you want me to list my top 5 comedians, but I got to go to the super chats first. It's just how it works. This is what I do full time. If this is your first live stream, I know you're new FFYM. So I go where the money is, baby. I got to show me the money. Okay, this is a good question. The first thing, Kane, and this goes for every entertainer and every single person that does a hobby for their lifestyle, right? I used to call this stuff my hobby. It is my job. It's paying the rent. It helped get us in this nicer place. Saving up money and being frugal and doing a crappy radio job, helped me get to where I am now. Understand that you're going to have to make sacrifices. Also, something else I wish I would have known younger is you honestly don't matter. You don't. Anybody in entertainment, you don't matter. Okay. The world will move on just fine. I'm not a heart surgeon. I'm not, anybody that helps society. I understand a lot of you like the content. I'm glad you do. But in the grand scheme of things, the world would move on with me or without me. And that helps me when I produce content because I'm like, okay, if people are spending their time with me and they really want my insight on something, I have to give them my absolute best every single time I turn this thing on. Now, is it going to be the most sharply edited video every single time? No. Is every film study going to be super long and super detailed? Probably not. But every day I wake up, I'm thinking about LSU football because a lot of you clock in, clock out. I know what some of you do for jobs. I think about Lewis a lot, one of our resident truck drivers. Understand, you can't waste people's time. You can't. You simply can't. There's plenty of LSU YouTube channels. There's plenty of LSU podcasts. There's a lot of things other LSU podcasters do that are way better than me. So I need to be the best version of myself every single time I turn this microphone on or I record something or whatever. So I wish I would have known that when I was younger, that ultimately your opinion doesn't matter. It doesn't. Okay. That's why I take a lot of your opinions into account, whether they're critical of my opinion or whether they are in favor of my opinion. But the bottom line is the quicker you realize that, the better you're going to be as a content producer, period. Right. So yeah. And that's the thing, Rain. I am not the biggest LSU channel. Not even close to being the biggest LSU channel. Now, would I like to be? Maybe. But here's the thing, Rain, and I tell this to everyone that comes to this channel. This channel is not for everyone. There's some LSU channels that can't stand, or there's some LSU fans that can't stand seeing someone that is a fan of LSU be honest about the team or be critical about the team. And I understand that because some people can't handle that. It's the same thing in comedy. Some people can't handle cursing in comedy. Some people can't handle clean comedy. They want you to be edgy. So, this is something else that you have to understand when you produce content. It's something that I wish I would have known when I was younger is understand that not everyone's going to like you. Okay. It just comes with it. All right. There was a commenter this week that kept nagging me because I didn't say the absolute perfect words that he wanted me to say about Max Johnson or TJ Finley when he was agreeing with my point. He still didn't like it. And he kept bickering about it in my comment section. And I kept replying. I was like, why am I wasting my time? Why am I wasting my time with this? I can't please everyone. So the quicker you realize that, and whatever you do, the better off you're going to be. Because what a lot of podcasts and radio, I don't have this thing figured out. I'm not making a ton of money off this now. I'm making enough to survive. But the quicker thing that you realize is you've got to niche down and you got to create a value proposition for people when they tune in. And what I see a lot in radio and podcasts
is that Jake Paul fight tonight?
Is that Jake Paul fight tonight?
Well, they were in Vegas, like they were like mouthing off, and I kind of wanted to watch it.
You wanted to see Jake Paul and Mayweather? You never want to watch a fight. You see, this is why boxing has fallen off. She, who has never watched a boxing fight ever, she's never cared about boxing.
I just want to see him get murdered. Because well, let's just what's the bag? Is that the bag? Is it called the bag? What's the bag?
The bag?
Yeah. Like the pot?
The pot?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Like
Have you had 10 White Claws already? She just
3.
comes in and says, I want to see. Do you know who Sugar Ray Leonard is?
Carter, now that's a stupid question.
Okay, so she knows something about boxing. Okay, she knows something.
Me who else. Say it. You gonna say it?
No, I was just like, she has never walked in here and said, I don't think the Jake Paul fight is tonight. No, it's in June.
Me who Muhammad
June.
Ali is.
No.
Ask me who Layla Ali is. Shall I keep going?
She's a boxing fan. She said Muhammad Ali, Layla Ali. Okay, Mike Tyson. I know that's going to be the next one.
Yeah, but he bites people.
He bites people's ear off. Okay, I'll love her forever if she knows whose ear did Mike Tyson bite off.
Give me a second.
Okay, she said give her a second. I've actually met this guy. Whose ear did Mike Tyson? I already love her forever.
I have his face in my head right now, and I'm seeing the ear in his mouth.
The ear. So you know what's funny? My dad.
Give me the first letter.
His first. Well, he's got the coolest boxing name of all time.
No, but like his regular name.
His initials are EH. He's got the coolest boxing. When you really think about it, you're like, okay, that's a boxing name. The best boxing names of all time are Sugar Ray Leonard. But you know what's funny? Like Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, those both sound like boxing names.
Clay, yeah.
No, Cassius Clay and Muhammad Ali are the same person.
I know.
Okay. But Evander Holyfield, she knew it. Huh? Oh, the Canelo fight is tonight. It's not as good.
Well, when I was going through the timber lane to get my claw, because I hit the bypass and went and got my claw, because I wasn't getting out of the car, because they didn't have any claw at Target.
They didn't have claw at Target?
No.
Oh, they never have seltzers at Target. That's every Target.
So listen to me. So I was going through the timber lane and Home Dude.
What, is that fight in Vegas, Tremaine? Tremaine might hook us up with some tickets. We'll go. Tremaine, we're coming. If that fight's in... No, I think those fights are in Atlanta.
Oh, for real?
Johnny, are you watching with your girlfriend tonight? Johnny and his girlfriend, Gail. I remember her name.
My dad loved Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard. That was when boxing was like the biggest sport. That's still so weird. R.I.P. Hearns, right? Or who just died? It was not Hearns, or it was Hearns or Hagler. I can't. My mind is frank.
Wasn't Billy Mays' birthday the other day?
Billy Mays.
Yeah.
Billy Mays, same thing.
About close.
I think he turned 90.
He turned 90 years old.
The Say Hey Kid.
Say hey.
Say hey. Say hey, hey. Hey.
Are you going to eat anytime tonight? Because I'm about to go eat my salad.
You can eat without me. Yeah, the food's already prepared.
Yeah, but I have to warm it up.
Y'all going to keep super chatting? I'll keep hanging out. If not, I'm going to go eat with my baby.
How much of a mess do you have in here tonight?
This is what we're sending to... Actually, we're sending Johnny some cards here.
Okay.
Rah.
I'm going to church in the morning.
Going to church, Mother's Day?
That's trash, babe. I just put you one in the freezer. Yeah, I'm going to go to church with Mom in the morning.
Mother's Day's tomorrow. I'll get the last little thing out of it.
My first Mother's Day without my booger.
Oh, yeah. We had a bug moment earlier.
I had a cry session on the way home.
Oh, you did? Without our baby girl?
Yep. But I got my Bernie necklace.
She got a Bernie necklace. That's good.
Show.
Yeah, you can show them.
Can they see it?
Yeah. Look at that. She got a little Bernie necklace. Look at that. With her name right there. It looks good on you, baby. Johnny's watching so Johnny and his girlfriend have been watching me for 2.5 hours now. That's great. That's what I'm talking about. That's a keeper right there, Johnny.
Y'all are good people to listen to this.
Johnny's also a big Rotolo's fan.
Well, I'm mad at Rotolo's.
Dude, Tolo's got rid of Haley. The only thing Haley can have on the menu is their tuna salads, or what is it?
No, it's seared ahi tuna salad.
They got rid of their ahi tuna salad, and their ahi tuna was fresh.
It was so good.
Jermaine, it's in Texas. Dang.
Whereabouts?
I guess in Dallas. I don't know.
For real?
Oh, it's Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather, not Jake Paul.
Oh, well,
Same
you know
thing.
what? They're both
They're both different people. That's what
I
you
didn't say a bad word. I didn't say a bad word.
I was just making sure before the YouTube algorithm's like, oh, they're cursing over there. Can't put them on the spin chart. But Johnny, tell Gail I said, what's up? Hey says hi too. I don't know. Gail is crushing her White Claws like hey.
Baby, I'm not crushing them.
Amakat says, I like you. Matt Wyatt. Amakat, I'll let him know.
I'm done with you.
She's done with you.
5 more minutes. Okay.
5 more minutes? Okay. Guys, we'll keep it going. Yeah, Logan. Are you kidding me, Voodoo? That's great. Are you an LSU fan? Voodoo, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm closer to Andy than my close friends now. I talk to Andy every day now. And Andy and I have never met. But I talk to Andy as much as I talk to my friends I grew up with. And I'm still really close to all my friends I grew up with. Dude, Dustin Poirier. I'm a big DP fan. The 337 MMA guys, I'm huge. Daniel Cormier. Would y'all watch this show if I got Dustin Poirier on here? Hey, Dustin, man, you want to promote your big fight? You'd come on PHL. Just all I would ask in exchange is, Dustin, man, I need to hook up with the hot sauce, baby. I still got to try. Has any one of y'all tried DP's hot sauce? Cool, Voodoo. I'll check it out. I want Andy's got good live streams. But yeah, Voodoo, are you an LSU fan? Let me know. Alex Bregman salsa. I didn't even know he was doing salsa. That thing better taste good. What was I saying? Oh, so the Kane, I think I answered your super chat pretty well. Let me give you a few more here. What have you learned about producing radio and podcasts you wish you knew you were younger? Those two things are very important. Creek, what's good, Nan? Creek up late in Shreveport. Shout out North Louisiana. So what Amakat said was pretty good. Matt Wyatt is so good. I really do think Matt is special. At media. Yeah, Theo's a monster. But yeah, Matt, like for instance, Matt, there's some guys on YouTube, you're like, God, that dude is just so freaking good. And here's the thing, Matt was like me, right? I wasn't a Division I football player like him, and I wasn't a Division I quarterback, but Matt was in traditional radio. And yeah, Voodoo, if you're in the card business, for those that don't know, so like Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson really changed the card business last year because, they were both two gigantic rookies and they've shot the value up of rookie cards. So, inclined to a certain extent, but not quite to those two levels. So yeah, that's why you've seen, in our live chat, a few sports card questions. So Voodoo, since you're a sports card fan, I know, and it's random. I actually just gave this card out on a live stream. This one's going to Canada for Rai. Voodoo, let me know what you think of the centering on this card. I was thinking, I'm dead serious, Voodoo. Let me know. That looks centered, right? And I know this isn't anything you would get graded, but I hate that I gave away this card because this is a touchdown against Clemson. Let me know what you think, Voodoo. This would get a. Of course, honestly, you would never grade this. I don't. You know what, Voodoo? I've never graded a card, so I've never had the magnifying glass. This doesn't look that bad. This would probably get a 9. I kept it in good condition. I've never graded a card, though, Voodoo. I've never done it. I'm not patient enough to do it. Especially now with PSA times, it's BS. Amacat showing some card. Is it centered, though? I don't know. Yeah, that's centered. That's 60-40, right? So many people are like leaving our live stream. Oh, you got the geeky Mo Funky. Are you kidding me? So this is the second live stream in a row. Mo Funky has updated us on the 100-meter dash times. Kendrick Law, state champion at 10.48. That's crazy because obviously he's a rising junior. And Matthew Langlois had the 10.7 last week. But Kendrick Law with the 10.48, that is stupid fast. Wow. That's so wild. Oh, your son knew TJ? That sucks. Yeah. He's gonna land on his feet. Let's see. Yeah, Theo's good. Here's what I do, FFYM. If you're at our live stream on Tuesday, I'll give you my top 5 comics. I have to think about that for a little bit, and I do get that question a lot. And honestly, it changes because you're like, okay, top 5 comics. It depends if you're talking about top 5 comedians. Are you asking me top 5 stand-ups? I'm guessing you're asking top 5 stand-ups. Well, there's great comedians and there's great specials and then there's great bits. So, like for instance, Michelle Wolf's opening joke on her last special about otters is stand-up comedy genius. Mia Jackson has a really good bit called Train Lady that she did at the Comedy Cellar. It's on Comedy Central. You can go to her Instagram and see it, and it's perfect stand-up comedy. It's perfect writing. There's some jokes that are so perfect. John Mulaney's opener for Kid Gorgeous was so good, and I'm happy Mulaney's back on stage. His show sold out in like 2 seconds. Mulaney's so stupid good. So like people like that, when they do bits that are so perfect, so trimmed, so punched up that it made me want to quit. Because I'm never going to be that good of a writer. And then you have some people that aren't great writers, but they're great performers. So like Sebastian Maniscalco and Tiffany Haddish. They're not the best writers, but they'll sell out an arena. They'll kill an arena. So it gets layered because some people are great writers, some people are great performers, some people are great at both. I think you have to be good at both, to be honest. So yeah. But yeah, I'll give you a full top 5 FFYM the next time around. But yeah, Mia Jackson is so good. I met her in New York. We did a show together in New York. She's so good. She's so good. Corey Holcomb is very underrated. But then again, Corey Holcomb's not for everyone. That's a not for everyone stand up. I don't think a lot of people are ready. I don't think you should dive headfirst into comedy and watch Corey Holcomb. But yeah, John Mulaney is really freaking good. He's really, really good. Like really stupid good. His sign joke is so good. It's so good. It's such a stupid observational bit. And it's like, God. Yeah, Corey Holcomb, he's never going to sell out an arena, but his comedy, I don't like using the word brave, but he'll lead an hour-long set with something very uncomfortable. And what that does is you have to, if you lead a, and I tried to do it and I just can't do it. If you lead a set with something very uncomfortable, half the audience is going to laugh if it's funny, but then the other half is not going to like to hear it. So you got to dig yourself out of a hole. Now, some comics can do it. I've seen Chris Rock do it. I've seen Louis C.K. notorious for doing that. Some comics think they can do it, but they're not good enough to do it, and they'll split the room and not make anyone laugh. And I've seen that before too. And this is what a lot of beginning comedians do. They think that they can be Bill Burr 1 year in and say something outrageously offensive or something like that, and it not be funny at all. Okay? There's some people that can make some things funny, and a lot of people that think they're funny enough to make something funny that's not. This is how I've always felt. No topic is off balance or off base, but I do think you need to be at a certain talent level before you start getting into some subjects. And what a lot of comedians do is they watch Dave Chappelle, Bird Revelations or something, and they're like, oh, I want to talk about race on stage. And they're 6 months in and they get a 5-minute audition for a club and they try to, do edgy jokes and they bomb and it's horrible. I don't mind it. I don't mind when people take risk on stage. It's a funny thing about it. But what a lot of comics do is they do that and they think that they're good enough to make stuff like that funny when more often than not, you're not. And more often than not, most club comedians don't do that at all. Okay. They don't try and do Tim Dillon or whoever, Michelle Wolf, Wanda Sykes, name the edgy comedian that's really good. Most club comedians don't do that. They just make the whole audience laugh with simple family humor. Gabriel Rutledge, people like that. And I've worked with Gabe before, so I'm a little biased. But there's a lot of guys that think they can do that, and they're not good enough yet. Yeah, Dylan's elite. He's pretty elite. Ari Spears, yeah, he's great. Black Rob, I like that. I know he's opening for who's he opening for now? Come on, Radio Star. God, what's his name? Shucks. Ricky Smiley. I know he's been opening for Ricky Smiley. Did you watch his show on FX? I never seen an episode of Louis. One thing I really liked about Louis though is that he had Stephen Wright on the show. Stephen Wright, very underrated. But yeah, I know normally like 3 hours in, we talk comedy on here. I love comedy. I miss the stage so much. Yeah, but it's Dave's special. He's just special. Dave's on the GOAT tier. He's on the LeBron, Jordan, Larry Bird tier of stand-ups. He's at a level that, a lot of people won't ever reach. I know for sure. I'm never going to even get close to him. Mark Curry and Steve Harvey, not gonna lie. And this will get me 86th in a lot of different rooms, but the original Kings of Comedy was just never really my thing. I just think, there was other comics that were better than those guys that were the original Kings. Now, I'm not saying Steve Harvey's not funny. I'm not saying Cedric's not funny. I'm not saying DL's not funny. But I just think Bernie Mac was on a different level than all of them at stand-up. Oh, you scared me. You ready to eat?
Yeah, I'm washing my face.
All right, I got to end this in a second. But I know I've brought this up before, but DL's way better at stand-up than I'll ever be. Everyone I mentioned is going to be way better at stand-up than I'll ever be. But DL was never really my cup of tea. Steve Harvey, his Titanic joke is great. Not other than that, his stand-up wasn't the best. He's super funny. He's a great host. I liked him in the Versus battle. I liked him for the most part on Family Feud, but it's whatever. Cedric's good. I think he's a better actor. Bernie was the only stand-up though that could make me cry. If you're gonna say you're a king of comedy, that's fine. But I don't know. Like my thing is, it just never. It never was one of my major influences, right? Joey Diaz is a beast. Yeah, no, Voodoo, I don't. Joey hangs out in LA. I've only been to the store once, never performed in the store, though. Robin Harris, RIP. Great stand up. Never really got the love he deserved. But yeah, Robin Harris, one of my good comedy friends, Big Dre, Robin Harris was his big influence. But yeah, like Kings of Comedy, I just think, yeah, I know Kings of Comedy was a big deal, right? But Def Jam was way more important than Kings of Comedy, right? So there's a lot of Def Jam comics. So there was the Chris Tuckers and the Martin Lawrences and the Sherry Shepherds and those guys and gals. So yeah, it's a little. That's the thing. A lot of people find Steve Harvey amazing on stage. It just wasn't. It just wasn't my thing. There's other people on stage that are funnier than what those guys were on stage. Bill Bellamy, I like that. Yeah, Eddie Griffin's good. Eddie Griffin's really good. Chris Tucker's great too. Earthquake. Yeah, Earthquake was a monster. Still is a monster. Earthquake was great, but you know what's funny? Every time we do these chats, yeah, Ari Shafir's interesting. Jeff Foxworthy. Yeah, good family comedy. Yeah, Tony, I'm about to sign off here as well. But I'll end on this. Bill Bellamy, also very underrated. I like that. Candy Cane Lounge. That's great. No Creek, we're thinking about it for right now. Dave Chappelle stole his style from Charlie Bennett. Charlie Barnett. Adele Givens. But yeah, we'll end on that. But you know what's funny? Whenever we do these greatest comics of all time, one guy who never gets mentioned, and he's never been, I think he's been mentioned once. So we get a lot of people talking about Eddie Murphy. We get a lot of people on here talking about Joe Rogan or whoever. No one ever talks about Cat Williams. No one ever brings him up, which is kind of weird, right? Because my girlfriend's favorite comic is Cat. Cat's a monster. Cat will make you cry. And honestly, yeah, Bruce is good too. I like that. Big Al. Big Al's getting some deep cuts in here. You said Earthquake and Bruce. I like that. But you see, Earthquake and Bruce tour, these Midwest clubs a lot. They do the Funny Bones. They do Stand Up Huntsville and stuff like that. Do we get an extra scholarship because of TJ Finley's transfer? Lawrence, I don't think so, but I would think not. But Alabama's signing 29 guys. Yeah, Comic View too. I did not have Haley fan being a cat. Kane, she can recite every freaking joke. I can see you. That's wild. It's wild. Like the people you would see, like when Andre 3000 showed up at that taping, I was like, wow, that's really cool. That bit is so good. It's so good. I kind of want to go watch that special right now. Kane, I'm telling you, I didn't think it helped me fall in love with her. I'll tell you that. Roger Wright. Yeah, man. Kane, I'm telling you, she loved Cat. Now, not word for word. She wouldn't say word for word. I see what you said. She wouldn't go word for word because I wouldn't be here if she went word for word. That's actually pretty funny. She's fine, Josh. She was just in here. Josh has been in and out tonight. There you go, Josh. Creek, we do need to bring that back. LSU Tulane. There you go. Kane said everywhere. Oh man, it's kind of like Kane if you walk into a sorority house and they put on Kanye. And oh man, oh god, that's so funny. Kane was like every word. She would bleep herself out. Oh man. Dang, deep cut Creek. I like that. Tulane used to be in the SEC. But yeah, Cat Williams. Yeah. And I know like what's happened now, the fighting the 8th grader, all the stuff. And like just a constant fighting with Kevin Hart and all that stuff. It's wild. Mick says, I'm really sorry about the racism you experienced earlier this week. Yeah, here's the thing. Okay. I know I reference this all the time, but when you're a comic, you really do see every single type of person. So it's kind of hard to get angry about racist things. Like I talked about the TJ Finley comment earlier about someone said TJ Finley is an unintelligent me monster. And it meant a lot that Trey, a white person, sent a super chat and said how much the coded language bothers him. It gives me some hope for society. But here's the thing, Mick, is I did not experience racism. TJ has. And if TJ were to read the comment section on some of my videos, and if TJ saw the comment that one time showed up in the live stream that was really bad, I would feel bad that a 19-year-old kid would have to read that as a true freshman 3-star quarterback. So, Mick, I could take it. I'm an adult, okay? I've been called every racist word in the book, okay? And like I said, this channel's not about me. It's about LSU football. So I appreciate that, Mick. I do. We still have a long way to go as a society. We've come a long way. We're moving along. Okay, it could be better. But that's the thing. We're still piece by piece. I'm a positive person. So, yeah. Paris, how'd you forget? But yeah, Mick, that means a lot. Okay, Paris. Roger super chatted, so we'll hang out for a little bit longer. But yeah, well, Creek, I appreciate that. Yeah, so that's the thing, Mick. There's only been, and Kane was here. All right. There's only been one really bad racist thing that happened on our live chat, which is kind of crazy considering like how many live chats we've done and how bad the internet is. There's only been one really bad one where I was like, wow. And I'm not going to lie, I felt really bad because it's like, if I was a 19-year-old kid and I saw that and I was playing for LSU and an LSU fan channels, there was some random person on the internet that said that, about me, it hurt my heart. It really did. So, yeah, it means a lot, Mick, that you said that. It really does. But, yeah. Well, there you go, Paris. That's right, Karis. I miss the day when Tulane was good. Shout out to Justin McMillan, though. Making Tulane really good last season, huh? Let's go to Roger here. Is there another team in the state that you could see one day rivaling LSU like Tulane back in the gap? No, it'll never happen because Tulane's not a Power 5 program, right? So, unless that happens, it's just not going to happen. Now, could Tulane pull off a Boise State? Yeah, they very well could. I mean, look at all the great NFL draft prospects that have been at Louisiana Tech and Tulane over the last couple of years. Louisiana Tech had Amick Robertson the year before, and then they had the defensive lineman this year. So there's enough talent because here's the thing. Alabama and Auburn are both really good programs. Obviously, Alabama's on a different level, and Auburn's great. And, they've both been top 15 recruiters, and Alabama doesn't have near the amount of raw talent that Louisiana produces. So there is no bigger advantage in all of college football than LSU with the Louisiana talent. There's just none. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh, there could be another Division I Power 5 program. And, be very lucky that Louisiana Tech is not like Auburn because Ruston or Shreveport or Monroe could have an Auburn-like SEC school in its city. It very well could. Auburn's not a big city at all. And that's a good thing for us as LSU fans is that we here in LSU could hoard all the talent down here. So that obviously changes a whole lot. It's weird, Roger, because you would think there could be, but unless you're a Division I school, it's just not. Now, I will bring this up. There is an opportunity, though, that more Division I recruits go to HBCUs. So I would guess a school like Southern or Grambling, if Jackson State and the HBCU movement, gets bigger, and I wish it would. My family is full of Howard Bisons, okay? My closest aunt went to Southern. So I would like to see HBCU football become, a more national brand and people can understand the history and how important, we're more than just a good halftime show. And I didn't go to an HBCU, so I can't say we, but my family has mostly HBCUs. So that is something to keep an eye on because, especially Grambling, that Grambling has such rich history and Grambling and Southern has produced all these NFL Hall of Famers and Grambling has arguably the greatest college football coach of all time, not named Nick Saban, is Eddie Robinson. He's up there with, the Bear Bryants and all those guys. So, yeah, I mean, Grambling, I could easily see a scenario where some kids are like, okay, let's go make Grambling a great program again. Let's see. Paris, your super chat, your topic. Creek, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you, man. Hello, Carter. In my opinion, it doesn't matter what color you are. We're all the same at the end of the day. We all got along and set aside our differences. Okay. I'm not going to get, too deep on something like this. I get what you're saying, Josh. And we all bleed the same. We all bleed red or we all bleed purple and gold in this instance. But I understand that, and I understand we have one race, the human race, and I understand that there's deep biology, that racism is a social or whatever. Okay, and I totally get that, and I understand your comment comes from a good place, and I get that, but once again, I don't think me discussing this is probably the right format for this, but you're coming from a good place, so that's all that matters. But yeah, we're all God's children, all for it. But look, racism does still exist, systemic or whatever. There's plenty of smarter people on YouTube that can explain that better than me. But look, I get it, Josh. And Josh, I love you. I appreciate the super chat. Paris, you missed a lot. Escape versus SWV. I wish I could give you more insight on those two R&B bands. I saw my versus thing light up. But yeah, it's one of those things. All get along and set aside our differences. That is true, Josh. But that's the beauty of LSU football. All these people with all these different backgrounds, we're all together loving LSU football. Yeah, Paris. We had an interesting discussion earlier about LSU and Bama in the NFL. And then and then we also discussed who can be the number 2 receiver behind Kayshon Boutte. So yeah, we had a lot of that good stuff there earlier. Haley's a big TLC. RIP Left Eye. Yeah, Creek. Once again, I'm calling it now. Walker Howard leads us to the national championship, 2023 or 2024. Walker Howard will take us to a college football playoff. And you guys know I hate to hype up freshmen, but that's what I'm doing. I think he's that great. You know what time it is? Amacat says John Trey is wide receiver number 2. I like it. 16 catches in the spring game. So, Amacat, I love your sentiment. The one thing I would say, though, is do not watch the Ole Miss game if you believe that. Don't, okay? Then you'll say, well, no. I felt so bad for John Trey in that Ole Miss game. Those drops were so freaking bad. Roger says, what if one of those teams got an invite to the Big 12? Tulane that would help them, actually. Yeah, I could see that. And, the thing is, if one of those schools got an invite to the Big 12, let's see, those North Louisiana schools would need Dallas to compete in the Big 12. And they could, especially Shreveport, because they're 2 hours from Dallas. They would need that region to get some good, 3 and 4 stars from that region. Yeah. There you go, Carvis. You're a PhD in this. But once again, I'm a football expert. I think. I don't even think I'm an expert in football. But I agree with what you say, Carvis, more than anything else. And this is what bothers me is you always got to understand your perspective is not going to be like someone else's perspective of a different race. That is the most important thing. So, that's so key when discussing race. And I think if we did more of that, it would help out the discussion overall. So let's see. Paris, I know you just joined us and you super chatted. Haley's ready for me to come eat. She had a long day in Monroe, ironically. And I got some pizza from Rotolo's in there. But yeah, Kane, Carvis, it means a lot from you because you actually know more about this than I do. Way more. And you know a lot about football as well, which is pretty impressive. Let's see. So yeah, Roger, I think that would help. I do. Paris, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. But Paris, since you just joined and you did super chat, if you have a question, Paris, I don't mind talking for just a little bit longer. I'm going to sign off at 3:15. I'm going to have a heart out there. Because I know all of you want to watch Elon Musk on Saturday Night Live. That's so wild. Josh, he would follow up with this. This is great. Hey, but yeah, I'm a Christian at heart. Hope you have a great some leftover pizza. And remember, tomorrow's Mother's Day. Hey, it's number 18. See what I'm saying? I'm telling you. What's up, Dave? Josh is my main man. Cheers to you, Josh. Oh, God. I know, Paris. You got to get a shirt. Boom. You know what's funny, Paris, is I haven't even gotten a shirt. There was a miscommunication with me and Bonfire as far as the shirt is concerned, which is kind of troubling. I'm thinking about switching up services. But there you go, Paris. There's a link right there. All right. Well, there you go. Don't worry, Paris. We'll be back live Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central. Also, Do not forget, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central, we'll be dropping our Eli Ricks film study. It is only 20 minutes long. And I only say only. Normally, our film studies are super long. And this one, we're only breaking down 2 plays. And it's funny how much you can extract from 2 plays and how much Eli Ricks changes the game. He's absolutely phenomenal. So, yeah. All right, guys. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Time for some Rotolos. Ooh. Get your shirts. Get your shirts. Boom.